The robot is nearly 3 meters high. The head of the mecha has only one electronic eye. The rest of the body is covered with metal, such as wearing an ancient combat helmet. At the same time, the whole body is made of pitch black metal, as if wearing an ancient armor with lines. Rigid, cold-looking, and perfectly proportioned, it is like a fierce gorilla, and like the mighty Gundam in the movie. The most coquettish thing is that it actually carries a big broadsword and wears a fur cloak, just like a noble man. The Admiral Army. What is striking is that its 2 arms are red, as if burning. At this moment, the robot is like a heavy truck with full power, rushing towards him roughly. "Hey, big guy, report your name." King took a deep breath, afraid that he was not very afraid. After all, he was holding a 4-star weird card and a card with his own character's full level. Unless he was confronted with a character like Poros, it would be difficult to arouse him. The Imperial Engine, well, the opponent is too good. The robot walked with heavy steps to King step by step, and pointed at King casually. "You are the strongest man, King. My name is G2. It is a combat robot created by an organization and came here to kill you." "G2? Who are you in G1? King remembered that when he was in Tongdi's research institute some time ago, he also encountered a similar-looking robot named G1. "I don't know." G2's electronic synthesis voice said coldly. "Don't have anything to do with me, I have no relatives." His red right hand opened toward King, and the metal on his palm contracted back, revealing a dark nozzle. Burning. G2 didn't get muddled, and immediately opened the big move. The palm of the palm lit up with a red light, the hot air was flying. King only felt the temperature of his body increased, and more importantly, the feeling of danger stimulated his whole body to tremble. Goosebumps are all coming out. Machine punch. Just as King was hesitating which card to use, a cold word suddenly sounded in the air, and a figure passed by, like the fist of a machine gun hitting G2. G2's body tilted, and the fire in his hand shot crooked, suddenly hit the building next to it. Rumble. A big hole broke through the building in an instant, and the fire burned. Genos looked back at King wearing a peaked cap and a trench coat, and said coldly, "Ordinary people, leave the battlefield here to me, you run away." After he finished speaking, he turned his head and directed towards G2, the arc flickered, and his fist suddenly slammed out, electric fist. "What?" King hesitated, and then decisively stepped back and hid himself. "Since someone is willing to be a hero, then I will reluctantly be an applauding audience." "Ah, everyone, run, weirdo, weird. Is that a member of the Heroes Association?" "I don't know, there is no such person in the Heroes Association. Could it be that the weird and the weird are fighting?" It seems that 2 robots are really fighting. After hearing the explosion, the surrounding people poked their heads out and looked at them. They saw the 2 robots fighting together, and they were suddenly scared. The experienced them ran away subconsciously and notified the Heroes Association. Boom. After another match, G2 looked at the incoming person. "Who are you?" "Genos." The person here was Genos. After he reported his name, he kicked his feet and spun in the air, and the mechanical soles of his feet suddenly kicked towards G2, the whirlwind leg. Boom. G2 hurriedly raised his hand to block, his heavy body staggered backwards, and looked at Genos coldly, and said, "Genos, right? Please leave, my target is not you." Genos was unforgiving, and his fist rained down on G2. "Unfortunately, my goal is you. Go to hell and transform people." Genos. King, who didn't go far, was watching the situation on the battlefield. After hearing the registration number of Genos, he looked over in surprise and saw Genos's cold look. He nodded subconsciously, and it was him. On the other side, the Metal Knight hiding in the city of G was shocked after learning that G2 had found the king, and turned on the computer video, ready to see the fighting situation of the king with his own eyes. "When I opened the video, all I saw was Genos. He frowned, and ordered, 'Quickly solve this annoying remodeled person. Fighting the king is your task. Receive.' G2's one-eyed gleaming light, seeing Janos refuses to let go, it snorted, 'Huh, little bugs.' With his right hand, he touched his back, and the heavy broadsword was immediately pulled out by it and slashed towards Janos. Passed. Call out. Genos dodged so flexibly, a few jumps fell not far away. Burning. G2 seemed to be waiting for Xenos to pull away. The crimson left arm was raised, the palm of the hand opened, the fire flickered, and a group of crimson flames spurted out, lacing towards Xenos. Well? Genos frowned slightly, and did not pause at all, and quickly dodged to the left. Waiting for you. However, after another wave of unrest, his body has not yet stood still, and the cold voice of G2 was heard in the air, and the blade of the broadsword shone sharply and shining brightly. Oops, careless. Janos' pupils shrank, and he subconsciously strayed away from his body. Unfortunately, he couldn't avoid all of them. The broadsword slashed, with a piercing sound, and Janos's left arm was neatly cut by G2's broadsword, revealing a large number of them. Complicated wires shimmered slightly with arc light. The king watching by the side was watching the lively battle with relish, and when he heard Janos shouting that he was careless, the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. Hee, it really was the eldest sister. An arm. G2 said coldly. He kept the broadsword in his hand, suddenly mentioning it. After sweeping past, Janos had already reacted. Since he is a mechanically transformed man, his body is almost entirely mechanical, so there is no pain, and it will not affect him. In other movements, he swung his feet, the whole person flew up. While avoiding the broadsword, the soles of his feet suddenly kicked towards G2. Whirlwind legs. Boom. Kung Fu kicked G2 firmly, and G2 staggered before standing still. It didn't care to continue attacking Janos. It's not enough to be tricky. Damn it, the difference in strength is too big. Janos frowned, thinking hard about the solution. Distracted in battle, looking for death, burning. G2 keenly found the fighter, aimed at the flaw in Janos, and raised his left arm to spray out a flame that burns everything with attention to the temperature. Janos was shocked. Oops, it's careless again. He tried to turn his body, hoping to avoid the fire from the lacing shot, but the fire was too fast, he could not avoid it, and withstood the impact of the fire abruptly. Alas, the eldest sister is out of help. King shook his head speechlessly. It seemed that he had to come out to save him. Well, the 4-star freak card could not be kept. Boom. The flames sputtered, and the high-temperature flame burned the lower body of Janos. He gritted his teeth abruptly and severed the lower body with his hands as he watched the spreading fire. At this time, he was gray-headed and gray-faced. The sparks burned his golden hair and melted part of his handsome face, exposing the mechanical parts inside. The lower body has completely disappeared, and the upper body is missing an arm, almost losing combat effectiveness. Careless, in this case. Janos looked at G2 who was approaching, and his cold face became more determined. Only blew up and died with the enemy. His chest suddenly shone brightly. Sister-in-law, your master Saitama is no longer, so I can only F***ku. King watched Janos completely defeated by G2, and sighed slightly. In the anime, Janos was tragically defeated because of carelessness in every battle, so he was dubbed Daiji, a homophonic sister, but carelessness was nothing. Because in the near future, Janos will worship Saitama as a teacher. From then on, as long as Janos is in danger, Saitama will surely appear as a rescuer. He will be a father and a mother on the battlefield in P. He took care of Janos, so even if Janos was defeated carelessly, Saitama would finish it. It's a pity that Saitama doesn't even know Janos at all, so it can only be played by Saitama's good friends in the future King, the godfather on the battlefield of Janos. Boom. Lightning and thunder in the sky. Didi. The long-awaited rain pattered down, as if a funeral was being held, and the world screamed. Ended. The rain did not have any effect on G2. He raised his hand to Janos on the ground, his palm flickering. Hey, your target is me, right? At the critical moment, King's faint voice sounded. G2 turned his head to look at King, and saw King holding an umbrella borrowed from unknown place in his right hand, and slowly raised his left hand to aim at it. Janos, who was about to blow himself up, also turned his head to look at King, and shouted, "Ordinary people, hurry up and leave. Run." King smiled lightly. Although I am a hero by luck, I am also a hero. If the hero escapes, who will fight? It seems like Saitama will say to Janos in the future, no matter what, plagiarism or something is my favorite. Janos looked moved. If the hero escapes, who will fight? King ignored the strange-looking Janos, and whispered, "Explosion." With his left hand raised, the milky white energy ball gradually converged. G2 shifted the attack target and took the opportunity to analyze King's physical fitness and threat level. Beaufoy, who remotely controlled G2, saw King stand up and his eyes lit up. He immediately demanded G2 to give up the dying Janos and turn his target to King. Didi, the target physical fitness is being analyzed. The analysis is complete, and the target physical fitness is too low to be digitized. The threat level has been determined. No threat, no need to dodge. Poveri looked at the data transmitted by G2, and almost didn't lift the table to call G2 back and redo it. King's physical fitness was too low to be digitized. King's threat level is actually non-threatening? Lie. Upset. There are many problems with new models of robots, and there are always various loopholes and shortcomings. He cursed secretly, and after a while, he was relieved. It was precisely because of various problems with the new model that he deliberately asked King to test the G-type robot and find out various problems to improve it. Violence. While he was struggling, King's whisper suddenly came from the computer video. He was shocked, his eyes fixed on the serious King in the video, and exclaimed, "Could it be King's trick Purgatory Warrior's hot wave cannon?" His heart was hot, and he quickly issued an order. G2, hurry up and collect the relevant data of King's Purgatory Warrior's explosive wave cannon before you scrap it. As soon as King's big move came out, G2 could not escape the fate of being scrapped. While it was still active, it quickly glowed and squeezed the remaining value. DD, collecting energy data. Energy bomb. The name of King's move was unexpected, and it was not Purgatory Warrior's hot wave cannon. Beauvoir was taken aback, and G2 still executed his orders faithfully. After energy collection, data analysis, enemy energy is a kind of wavelength energy. The data transmission stopped abruptly, and the video in front of him also went out with a black screen. The last milky white energy bomb that flew over was explosive. Energy bomb? Beauvoir was in deep thought. Is the Purgatory Cannon a small power version of the Purgatory Warrior's explosive wave cannon? He thought for a while, to no avail, and then returned his thoughts to the improvement of the G-model robot. First of all, the data analyzer needs to be upgraded. It doesn't matter if King can be defined as a non-threatening data analyzer. Secondly, the defense needs to be strengthened. You can't even resist King's castration version of the big move. What use do you want? Finally, the firepower must be increased, and it will be a long time to fight an unknown soldier. What use do you want? The defense of this robot is almost perfect, and it is unscathed. After King raised his hand and put a small explosive energy bomb, he found that the energy bomb only left a trace on G2's chest, and even under the washing of rain, the trace quickly disappeared. He was shocked and stared at G2 vigilantly to guard against G2's attack. However, he waited for a long time and the expected G2 attack did not come. Instead, all the lights on G2 suddenly went out, as if the power was cut off. Suddenly, the entire robot was motionless, as if it had been disconnected from the power source, and it had fallen into a shutdown state. Huh? What's the situation? Why doesn't this robot move anymore? Did you deliberately lure me over? He looked at the wood-like robot suspiciously, with a dilemma for a moment. Genos, who was behind G2, saw ordinary man and G2 for a short time, and he was caught in a long confrontation. He was anxious, looking at the back of G2 who was close at hand, and gritted his teeth abruptly. With his right arm propped on the floor, he was thrown into the air and rushed towards G2. Machine punch. His only right arm made 3 or 4 consecutive punches within a short period of time, bombarding G2. Boom. What surprised him was that after G2, who had been standing still, was attacked by him, his heavy body swayed slightly, and then crashed down, splashing a lot of water. Genos was full of questions, and G2, which beat him almost helplessly, fell like this. Slap. He also fell to the ground and looked up at G2, which was silent. After a while, he finally determined that G2 had really lost its combat effectiveness. Congratulations on eliminating the weirdo. King saw that G2 was indeed not threatening. He breathed a sigh of relief, stepped forward and glanced at the miserable Janos, and curiously hit the future Saitama's disciple and S-rank hero, the eldest sister. Genos frowned and said, "I didn't destroy the weirdo." He knew his strength very well. When he was intact, he couldn't do anything about G2. What's more, after he was damaged, how could he be defeated in a few strokes? G2 coaxing. He raised his eyes and looked at King, who couldn't see his appearance because of the darkness. "You are the hero who destroys weird people. There are only 2 people here. Since he didn't destroy G2, it must be the ordinary person in front of him. Ordinary people. I fought for so long and didn't cause any damage to G2, but the opponent only wiped out G2 by raising his arm slightly. Oh, it seems that I misunderstood. Compared with him, I seem to be an ordinary person. Damn it, I'm so unwilling to be so weak." He clenched his fists, and an eagerness to become stronger was in his heart. Puff puff. Soon, the drone started up again, taking the miserable Janos and the undamaged G2 into the sky. King waved his hand at Janos as a farewell, and then turned around to leave. "Ordinary people, can you tell me your name?" Genos's voice came suddenly in midair. "My name?" King paused, then tilted slightly, and looked up at Janos in midair. Boom. A flash of thunder suddenly flashed, and the fleeting electric light showed 3 hideous scars on King's fortitude face naked in front of Genos' eyes. "Remember, Janos, my name is King." "King?" Genos' pupil shrank. "That recognized as the strongest man on the surface, King?" King waved his hand again, turned and disappeared into the rain without taking away a cloud. Emergency evacuation notice. Emergency evacuation notice. A strange man appeared on Nanyang Street in Z City, the level of which is unknown. Please evacuate nearby residents as soon as possible. I repeat, the emergency evacuation notice. The emergency evacuation notice. A strange person appeared on Nanyang Street in Z City. The level is unknown. Please evacuate nearby residents as soon as possible. The weird siren in the city center is late. Just like the police uncle who is always late in the TV series, he will arrive in a hurry when the matter is over. King wandered on the street, watching the next light rain and the empty streets where the residents were scared away by strangers. He couldn't help but feel depressed. Where do I live tonight? He hesitated for a moment and found a hotel where no one was left. While lying on the bed, he took out his cell phone and called Ziki. G2 has been eliminated. He needs to tell Ziki, who is behind in information, that he does not need to send heroes. I was wasting time in the past while asking for the address of the House of Evolution. Well, he came to Z City not only to find Saitama, but to find Saitama to call him to help destroy the House of Evolution for revenge. Hey, Ziki? I am King. The weird people who appeared in Nanyang Street in Z City have been wiped out. There is no need to send heroes over here, huh? It was wiped out by a mechanical transformation man named Genos, so you guys too. Watching him. Well, I'm not familiar with him. If you want to recruit him, go by yourself. I'm not free. Do you know the House of Evolution? As I mentioned to you before, the House of Evolution is staring at me. I sent 2 weird people to attack me some time ago. I don't want Tenten to be harassed. I can only make them disappear. Okay, does the House of Evolution exist at the junction of City B, City Y, and City Z? I see, thanks. Ends. Puff puff. After flying across the sky, the drone carrying Janos and G2 landed in a hidden laboratory. Wow. After the drone returned, the laboratory automatically opened the protective door and walked out of the old scientist. The old scientist wore a weird hat, looked old and kind, with energetic eyes and a long and pointed nose. Wearing a white lab coat, he carried his hands and looked at the miserable Janos. His eyes flashed with distress. Genos, why are you doing this again? Didn't I tell you? I can't beat the weird people, just retreat temporarily, accumulate strength and start again. Janos frowned slightly. Dr. Kunos, I know you are for my good, but if the hero runs away, who will fight? I didn't expect that the words I just learned would come in handy. It turned out that the old scientist in front of him was Dr. Kunos. Kunos glanced at Genos. Who taught you this sentence? He shook his head. It's not like your speaking style. Genos whispered. A hero, a man, and a strong. Oh. Kunos did not continue to ask, but instead asked about the fighting process of Janos. Did this robot hurt you hard? After he figured out the ins and outs, he walked to G2 and squatted down and looked over. His face changed suddenly. Genos, do you know the origin of this robot? I don't know. Janos shook his head. Yes? Kunos was stunned, and looked dazed, as if he was reminiscing something. Janos asked suspiciously, Dr. Kunos, did you find any clues? No. Kunos came back to his senses and asked, by the way, do you have any ideas for bringing this robot back? Yeah. Genos's face became solemn, and the only mechanical fists that were left clenched, and he said solemnly, Dr. Kunos, I want to become stronger. This robot has better equipment than me, I don't know. Can it be transferred to me? The power of that incinerator made him very eager. Oh, Janos, you. Don't be swallowed by hatred. Kunos looked at Janos with firm eyes, and sighed slightly. I need to check the structure of this robot to see if it is with you. Match. Well, thank you Dr. Kunos. Then Kunos moved Genos back to the laboratory, fixed it on the test bench, and then dragged the G2 in with the machine, carefully inspecting the structure of the G2. Short circuit. After Kunos disassembled the G2, he found that the reason why the G2 lost its combat effectiveness was that the line leaked due to rainwater immersion, and then a short circuit occurred, causing irreparable losses. He laughed blankly. That guy is really careless. I guess he didn't expect the robot to fight in the rain. He didn't take waterproof measures, leaving such obvious loopholes. He shook his head and re-examined the robot burning cannon that Genos said. Half an hour later, he removed the 2 arms of G2, showing a slight smile, turned his head and said to Genos, Genos, there is good news, the incendiary cannon on G2 can be transferred to you. Janos' 10,000 years' ice cube face did not have the slightest mood swing. He nodded slightly and said, well, Dr. Kunos, please help me install it. I need to become stronger. It will take a while, and it will be installed about tomorrow. Kunos was used to Janos' unsmiling smile. Since losing his parents, Janos hadn't laughed. He sighed in his heart that this is a poor child. After a while, he was thrown into the work of refitting the G2 incendiary cannon. Zizz. Clang. From time to time, the sound of electric arcs and tools beaten in the laboratory. One day and one night passed. Kunos looked at the 2 modified arms in his hand with satisfaction, and then turned around to remove the damaged parts of Janos. and then found the corresponding parts from the spare parts in the laboratory to install them one by one. In just over an hour, Genos, who had been nearly damaged before, was completely renewed, his body was repaired, and only 2 arms remained. He compared Genos's arm, installed the G2 modified arm, and adjusted the incendiary cannon. Fang patted Genos's shoulder and said relaxedly, "Genos, get up and move around and see if there is any what is not suitable for." Janos stood up, raised his arm gently, and activated the burning cannon subconsciously, and saw that his palm shrank in an instant to reveal a pitch-black nozzle. The red flames lit up, reflecting his heroic face. He suddenly squeezed his palm into a fist. "Evil forces, I have become stronger." "Well, it's dawn and the sun is basking." King got up in a daze. At midnight last night, because the weird person was wiped out, the hotel staff returned again. It took him a long time to fall asleep. He didn't expect to wake up, it was already noon. He finished washing, put on his clothes, and prepared to go out to Saitama's house. When he got downstairs, he settled the money for the opening of the hotel and turned to the nearby supermarket. There is no special sale in this supermarket called Renrenle, and it is estimated that Saitama has never been there. Pushing a shopping cart, he wandered through the supermarket merchandise. "Well, I heard that spinach is helpful for hair growth. Saitama should like to eat it. Buying a few pieces of cabbage has the same effect." Well, no wonder Saitama likes to eat cabbage so much in the comics. Ginger shampoo has the effect of preventing hair loss. It is prepared for Saitama. In the future, maybe it will be used someday. Hey, hair restorer. This kind of thing. A few more bottles. Saitama is in the late stage of baldness. A bottle of hair restorer will definitely not cure it. Oh my god, how come there are adult magazines in the supermarket? Wow, this girl. This girl. Well, take it, Saitama is alone, and needs some books to relieve her boredom. King looked around at the supermarket. After a while, he picked out a lot of Saitama necessities. When the shopping cart couldn't fit, he pushed the cart to the checkout counter with satisfaction. "Sir, please wait a moment." Ding dong. The lady cashier in the supermarket scans the code of the goods purchased by King. Since King bought a lot of things, it takes some time to count the money. Bored, he looked at the supermarket public TV set on the wall, which was broadcasting the latest news. Moderator. During this time, everyone has seen that the appearance of a large number of mosquitoes is annoying us. So what is the reason for the large number of mosquitoes this year? Our program team invited the mosquito expert who has published several books. Fanfic experts will answer for everyone. Fanfic. Hello everyone. First of all, from the conclusion, according to our survey, the mosquitoes that appeared this year are new species, so I don't know much. The host cursed, "Then get out of here." As soon as he finished speaking, he realized that he was broadcasting the news. He coughed and apologized to the audience. "Sorry, I'm in a bad mood. Let me take a look at the mosquito population." On the way forward, the number of mosquitoes is fashionable and at the junction of City Z and City B. Now it has gradually flocked to the urban area of City Z. It is predicted that a large number of mosquitoes will enter City Z in 1 or 2 hours. I hope everyone do a good job at preventing mosquitoes. I just said that there have been a lot of mosquitoes recently. It turned out that a mosquito disaster broke out. King looked at the news reports about the recent surge in the number of mosquitoes. He recalled that in Bongu Dojo, there were mosquitoes buzzing in his ears when he slept at night, which made him a little missed. Ding dong. The cashier finally finished the calculation and said politely, "Hello sir, your goods cost a total of 2,357 yuan. She glanced at the adult magazine, hesitated, and asked softly, "Sir, I think you might need some tissue." The king who was paying out was stunned, and reacted after a while, "FCK, it makes sense. What if Saitama doesn't have tissues? Do you use underwear? How embarrassing." Thanks for reminding. He hurriedly added 2 more paper towels of the Shaw Lee Stop brand. Miss Cashier blushed and whispered, "You're welcome." After the checkout, King was carrying 2 big bags and ready to set off. At this moment, the news channel on the TV suddenly interrupted a piece of temporary news. "Dear viewers, I'm sorry. Because of the emergency, we will temporarily insert the latest news about the mosquito disaster. At present, a large group of mosquitoes are coming to Z City. All the bitten animals have been sucked up and turned into corpses. If you encounter mosquitoes outside, please evacuate as soon as possible." King stared blankly at the mummy domestic animals broadcast on TV. The memory of watching anime in the past turned out, and the corner of his mouth twitched. This F***K is. The mosquito girl has attacked. He thought of the horrible blood-sucking mosquitoes. He hesitated for a moment. After all, he did not step out of the supermarket. His plan to visit Saitama was once again stranded. He sighed slightly, Saitama, Could it be that our handsome and bald combination is inherently different? Why'd I always call you every time? Will nothing good happen? He sighed for a moment, sinking his heart to recall the story about the appearance of the mosquito girl in the anime. Genos appeared. Fighting. Saitama chased and killed the mosquitoes. Saitama was completely naked. Wait one time. His inspiration flashed, and he seemed to have caught some indescribable G-spot. Saitama was naked? He smiled meaningfully and asked the cashier, "Miss, are there any cameras in your supermarket?" "Yes, 308. 380, there is nothing wrong with the pitfalls." Shishi. Saitama didn't even know that his perfect body was mist. He was holding his dead fish eye elephant and sprinkling his cactus with water. Ha-choo, for some reason, he suddenly sneezed, then touched his nose, secretly wondering, since he exercised and became bald, he has not been sick again. How did he sneeze today? Strangeness. Buzzing. His doubts have not yet been answered. A mosquito appeared in front of him and made an annoying buzzing noise, and finally fell on the back of his hand to suck blood. He stared at the mosquito, quietly raised his other hand, and snapped it down immediately. Snapped. Buzzing. The mosquito was unharmed, and luckily escaped from Saitama, arrogantly swinging in front of him again. Boom. Boom. Saitama's right hand was continuously grabbing the mosquitoes at a surprisingly fast speed, but the mosquito setting seemed to be 100% evasive. Even if he was invincible, he couldn't use the mosquitoes. Buzzing. I am afraid that the mosquito is even more proud, actually riding on Saitama's face. Shit. Snapped. Saitama's aiming time is another slap, and with a slap, that strength may be able to kill a dragon-level weird in seconds. Buzzing. Alas, it's a pity that the mosquito has its own protagonist aura. No matter how strong the enemy is, it will be as tenacious as a cockroach. Saitama's face turned dark, the blue veins on his forehead violently, and gently let down the dead fish eye elephant water sprinkler, staring at the flying mosquitoes with stern eyes, and roared inwardly. Sat mosquitoes seriously. Snapped, snapped, snapped. In order to successfully eliminate the mosquitoes, he used 12 points of strength, leaving his shocking afterimages on the balcony. I don't know how many ghost-level, dragon-level monsters killed by him were so popular in this scene that they crawled out of the tomb. Not to mention, after making this bowl of mangpo soup, we will be reborn as mosquitoes in the next life. Woo. The weird siren in the center of Z made a stern warning sound. Emergency evacuation alert. Emergency evacuation alert. A large number of mosquitoes have invaded City Z, and the disaster level is ghost. Please do not go out until the disaster alert is lifted. Repeat it again, citizens of City Z, please don't go out. Buzzing. Swarms of mosquitoes are rampaging on the streets of Z City. If they encounter creatures, they will swarm up. The sharp beak needles pierce the creature's skin violently, sucking blood crazily. In no time, the living creatures will become dead. The mosquito sucked up alive. Click. However, people who are not afraid of death after all. On the bustling Chaoyang Street in the past, a habitual thief took advantage of the time when the citizens hid at home because of the alarm, holding a crowbar or breaking the window glass, or prying open the door of the shop, and frantically broke into an unmanned shop to steal money. Jewelry. Haha, because of the alarm, there is no one at all points. It is a godsend opportunity. It is for nothing. How can anyone be bitten to death by mosquitoes? He used to carry a crowbar and watched with satisfaction the big bag on the ground shining beautifully. Jewelry laughed and said, "Today is a bumper harvest, thanks to the mosquitoes. In this way, even a little blood sucked by the mosquitoes is worth it. It's a thank you." Hoo-hoo. As soon as his voice fell, an inexplicable black wind blowed swiftly, and he staggered, and the hat on his head was brought to the sky by the wind. He used to look at his flying hat in surprise. Is it the wind? Hoo-hoo. However, before he could find out the answer, the strange black wind hit his body again and directly wrapped around his body. At this moment, he was horrified to discover what kind of black wind was this. It was clearly caused by thousands of people. A blood-sucking army composed of mosquitoes. Once these terrifying mosquitoes were entangled in the habitual thief, they immediately stretched out their blood-sucking beak to bite the habitual thief. 1, 2, 100, 1,000, 10,000. Countless mosquitoes covered the body of the thief, densely packed, and in the blink of an eye, the thief disappeared in the black wind and disappeared. Ah, help, help, ah. From the mosquito army, there was a habit of struggling and hoarse cries for help. Unfortunately, there were no human traces around, and the citizens had long been hiding at home. Who could hear his call for help? Boom. After a long time, the mosquito army finally ate and drank enough. After leaving the habitual thief, he took off again to look for the next prey. At this time, the habitual thief was no longer like an adult. He was dehydrated and shriveled, a sad mummy. In fact, the habitual thieves that suffer are not only this one. In City Z, some people with bad ideas took advantage of the time when the citizens were hiding at home in panic. I thought I could be rich overnight, but I didn't know that the stolen money hadn't been spent yet. A swarm of mosquitoes had arrived, absorbing all the thieves, robbers and other criminals who wandered down the street. In this way, the mosquito army has done a good job. Of course, besides those who want to make a fortune, there are heroes of justice on the streets. Boom. There is a figure running fast on the hard concrete road. His face is handsome and cold, with flowing blonde hair, and his body is covered with metallic mechas. The two rapidly swinging arms are even more red, which is what King had encountered before. Janos. Judging from the direction Janos is heading, he is actually tracking the mosquito army. What's strange is that the mosquito army turns a blind eye to this living creature. Ah, that's right. Janos is an iron lump. Mosquitoes can't even think about it. To bite him? Gathered together. At a certain moment, Genos, who was tracking the mosquitoes, stopped abruptly, staring coldly at the black mosquitoes that had gathered in midair to the extent of a sandstorm. A charming figure was looming in the mosquitoes in the sandstorm. Thousands of mosquitoes came from they gathered from all directions, and then plunged into the mosquitoes in the sandstorm without hesitation. There were some indescribable groans from the mosquitoes in the sandstorm. The goal has been confirmed. Genos stared at the black ball, unaffected by the weird shout. After a while, with a sound, the cloud-like black mosquito group buzzed and left quickly, revealing the graceful figure inside. The figure is roughly female, with beautiful and charming appearance, fair skin, graceful and charming, with many characteristics of mosquitoes, such as enlarged slender limbs, half-meter-long slender flagella all over the arms, etc. The mosquitoes have compound eyes. On both sides of the head, a cap with a covering shape is formed. The front of the forehead is a sharp steel beak. There are 6 pairs of transparent and tough wings behind her so that she can easily fly in the air. All the characteristics indicate that this charming lady is non-human, to be precise. Weird. Puff. What are you doing? How do you work? Only this point is not enough. Go and get me some more fresh juice, over here. The mosquito-like girl formed a weird person who spoke dissatisfiedly to order the mosquitoes, and at the same time, the hand quickly absorbs the blood brought by these subordinates, in order to strengthen the body and achieve a more perfect state. Target locked. At this moment, a cold voice suddenly rang in her ears, making her heart tremble. Burning. A firelight pulled out of the crimson orbit and lost towards her. She was alert, and the 6 pairs of transparent wings behind her quickly stirred, her graceful voice whirled in the air, and she dodged the jet of fire dangerously. This sudden attack made her very annoyed, her pretty face suddenly became gloomy, and she stared at the attacker Genos viciously. That's it, I understand. I will call a large group of mosquitoes to suck blood, and then give them all to you, for your exclusive use. Genos stared at the mosquito girl suspended in the air with a blank face, and said coldly, if it were you sending a signal to the mosquitoes and then manipulating them can explain why the mosquitoes suddenly migrate collectively. In other words, if you, the owner, are eliminated, then this group of annoying things will naturally disperse. A sneer appeared on Mosquito Girl's delicate face. She was a real innocent guy. Children, fresh food is here. Her slender and sharp claw pointed to Janos. Go and suck him up for me. Shoo. For example, after the black mosquitoes densely covered with clouds received instructions, they split into several small black sandstorms and rushed straight towards Genos. In an instant, the mosquitoes enveloped Genos, and mosquitoes stretched out their ferociousness. His beak bites towards the steel body. Click. Click. For a time, countless small breaking sounds continued to be heard. After a while, after all the mosquitoes came around, Genos, who was in the sandstorm of a large black mosquito group, said flatly. Burning. Boom. A dazzling fire suddenly broke out, heat waves blasted into the sky, and the black mosquito swarms swept beside Genos were swept away in the blink of an eye. Almost all of them burned to dust. A hidden research institute on the outskirts of Z City. A young man with dark green hair, wearing a suit and glasses, stared straight at the full-length photo of King on the computer screen. He tightly grasped the edge of the table with his hands, his eyes revealed fiery. There's a way to heaven, you don't go. Hell has no way to go. King, I didn't expect you to come to Z City. This is my place, of course, we must treat you well. Draw your blood genes by the way, and use you as an experimental sample to take our species evolution experiment further. That's right. This man is the mad scientist who once sent a stranger to assassinate King because he spied on King's blood Kenos. Ha ha. Thinking that he might get the blood of the strongest man on the surface, Kenos couldn't help being excited, and couldn't wait to ask his clone 28 assistant, No 28, has the mosquito girl started to act? If the prediction is correct, The mosquitoes have already summoned the mosquitoes to invade City Z, sir. Do you think the mosquitoes can successfully extract the king's blood? How do we analyze and extract the king's genes from the mosquito's complex blood bank? In the shadows, there is a man who looks exactly like a young man, wearing an ancient white prison uniform with the number 28 on his chest, nodding. Kenos took a deep breath, sat down again, propped his chin, and smiled confidently. I have my own way. What? The attacking mosquito swarm was completely wiped out. The mosquito girl's pupils shrank, and she looked at the human underneath in shock. The black smoke dissipated and the human revealed its original shape. The heat-sensing ability of the mosquito's skin told her that the round hole in the palm of this guy also exudes a super high temperature. I want to kill you. Janos's tone remained flat, but the words were filled with killing intent. Just leave it to me and don't move. While he was talking, he had been aiming at the hole in the center of the mosquito woman's right hand and began to gather huge heat again. Destroy me. Haha. The mosquito girl returned to her senses, looked at the tiny humans on the ground mockingly, pointed to Janos with her palm, and said loudly, then let the horse come here. I want to see who has the last laugh. Burning. Boom. Another burning cannon burst into the sky. It's too slow. This speed cannon can only follow my butt and eat ashes. Mosquito girl looked at the burning cannon coming from the lacing, and laughed. The 6 pairs of thin, transparent and fragile wings behind the cicada wings moved slightly, and she showed her strength and confidence by almost rubbing the burning cannon with her body. Speed? Is power, idiot. Speed? Janos narrowed his eyes, and the 2 Uzumaki engines on his shoulders started quickly and sprayed out 2 blue fires. He squatted slightly, kicked on his feet, and the ground collapsed, and his body was facing the mosquito girl like a rocket launcher. Lacing over. Machine punch. His mechanical fist hit the mosquito girl swiftly like a machine gun, leaving behind the afterimages of the arm attack. Huh. Interesting. The mosquito girl chuckled and raised 2 hook-like arms clanging to block Janos' attack. Go down. Her right hand, like a hook, slammed Janos on the head. Puff puff. Janos was caught off guard and quickly fell. Suddenly, the Uzumaki engine on his shoulders started, and blue fire sprayed, and his arm instantly turned into a helicopter wing and flew briefly to the ground. Chi-chi. The huge inertia caused his body to slide for a certain distance. He didn't care at all. As soon as he stood firmly, his right palm was immediately raised to the mosquito girl in the air, and he said coldly, burn. Boom. The red light splashed, the fire dragon flew, roaring towards the sky. Hee, I said, this kind of slow energy cannon is useless for me. Why don't you have a long memory? The mosquito girl sneered, and the 6 pairs of wings quickly stirred up. Her graceful body quickly rushed down the burning cannon like a butterfly. In the ultra-high-speed movement, she slammed towards Janos. Tear. Like the cloth torn, the mechanical left hand made of Janos steel was destroyed by the mosquito girl just one face. Hey, I will remove your legs next. The beak on the head of the mosquito girl is strung with a mechanical arm. However, she has just finished her proud words, and her body is inexplicably uncomfortable. Controlling, she looked at the discomfort in confusion, and found that the part below her calf had also been torn up, which seemed to be the cause of the super high speed, and there was no pain for a while. Huh. Where's my leg? Snapped. Janos's only right hand dropped 2 enlarged mosquito limbs at random, and his cold eyes fixed on the mosquito girl flying in the sky. What? She seemed to perceive something wrong, and turned around and rose quickly. It's useless. Janos raised his right arm and fired a burning cannon at the mosquito woman. Under the light of the fire, his face became more cold. Don't want to escape from the palm of my hand. The mosquito girl's wings stirred, dodged the passing incendiary cannons, and looked depressed at the unending Janos underground. What the hell is this guy? If this goes on, I will be killed sooner or later. No, the task assigned to me by the laboratory has not been completed yet. How can I fall halfway? Her graceful figure whirled around in midair and found that no one could be seen in the city. She looked up at the mountain forest not far away, and said with a smile, although the people on the street are already hiding, the animals in the forest it's different. Buzzing. In the forest, swarms of mosquitoes, such as locusts in transit, ate up all the creatures they encountered, resulting in the corpses of dry animals with blood sucked everywhere on the ground. Come on, children, pour the juice you have accumulated into my body, right? She smiled charmingly, arms fully extended, her curvy figure was revealed, with some strange lines, the fire in her heart rose inexplicably. Buzzing. With her order, the mosquitoes in the forest around City Z flocked to her like sharks smelling fishy odors. After a short while, black torrents gathered from all directions, and the number was several times greater than before. After a while, the mosquitoes beside the mosquito girl formed a large black tornado, which was very permeating from a distance. Janos looked at the terrifying mosquito group, his eyes narrowed. So many mosquitoes. If the mosquitoes collect this city. No, if a wider range of animal blood is collected, I am afraid it will be more than just its food. If such a large blood energy is not used as food, then I am afraid it is used as fighting energy. Is it evolving with the energy of blood? If this is the case, it will be even more troublesome to wait for her to evolve. He frowned and said, it seems that we must destroy her as soon as possible. Thinking of this, the energy ball on the palm of his right hand expanded rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. Stop me. At this moment, there was a furious sound from behind him, as well as the crackling of slippers on the ground, which forced him to cancel the large burning cannon that had been charged for a long time. Buzzing. There was also a slight flying sound of a mosquito. Damn it, we haven't decided the winner yet. How can you run away? Master, can you go another way? When Janos and Mosquito Girl were fighting to death, King was waging a taxi driver outside the no man's land. Due to the fear of the people in Z City, the taxi driver refused to enter the no man's land. The scumbag-faced taxi driver said bitterly, Sir, I really can't go in anymore. You'd better not go in. There are many weird people in it. It's easy to lose your life if you go in alone. King said helplessly. Then if you accompany me in, you won't be alone. The taxi driver shook his head violently. Sir, the weird alarm in the city center today said that there was a ghost-level disaster. Let us try not to go out. I have taken you here and have taken a lot of risk. I will never do it again. Go ahead. I add 100. Don't go. 1,000. If you get in, you have money and you will die. 10,000. You get out of the car, you add more money. I'm afraid I can't help but promise you. Boom. There was a roar of a motor, and the yellow taxi turned back quickly and left at lightning speed, and even rushed through the curve in a perfect and elegant manner. At first glance, it is known that it is a person with a story. It may have delivered tofu before. Well, today I finally understand that money is not everything. King watched the taxi disappear at the corner of the street. His face was full of sorrows, and then turned to look at the quiet no man's land in Z City. His scalp was a little numb. He forgot to wash his hair last night. Saitama doesn't know if he's at home. On this trip, his equipment, in addition to the 10,000 years cap and windbreaker, also a small backpack, which stores a newly purchased video camera, the purpose of which was to take pictures of Saitama's naked running. That guy Chi is too shameless. He knew that I was in City Z. After he discovered the disaster, he called me and asked me to fight against the disaster, but it didn't matter. The Mosquito Girl would definitely be wiped out by Saitama, and nothing would happen to him. Well, I'll go to make soy sauce. I seem to be making soy sauce all the time. This question. It is thought-provoking. Boom. Just as he was thinking about Saitama's whereabouts, a burst of fire suddenly erupted from a kilometer in front, like an atomic bomb explosion, and fierce fireworks rose within a few hundred meters. His eyes lit up, he clapped his palms, and said with a smile, This is all right, I know where Saitama is. If his memory is correct, the outburst of fire should be Genos and Mosquito Girl fighting. Saitama was also affected by the fighting between the two to become naked. Go. Saitama streaking in *****. The temperature of the elder sister's burning cannon is really high. I can still feel the impact of the heat wave after thousands of meters away from them. This Tokyo is really hot. Who is he? Janos frowned and looked at the visitor who was holding a bottle of insecticide to hunt down a mosquito. The visitor had a marinated egghead and a face full of frustration. He was wearing yellow short sleeves, yellow feces shorts, and household slippers. The appearance of an ordinary person, well, that head is still very eye-catching. The person who came was either someone else, or Saitama who lived nearby. He fought the mosquitoes for 300 rounds. He killed him from home to outside. The killing was inextricably difficult. So far, there is no winner. Chi. Saitama sprayed the insecticide at the mosquitoes in his hand, and accidentally sprayed it into his mouth. Oh, it's in my mouth. Oh, damn it. He spit out a few vigorously, stopped after confirming that there was no residual insecticide in his mouth, and then remembered the mosquito he was chasing after. He immediately raised his head to look for the trace of the damn mosquito. Who knew he saw it as soon as he raised his head? A black storm formed by thousands of mosquitoes. He was surprised. Huh? Something is moving. Oh, wait a minute, the mosquito. It's a mosquito. He widened his eyes and was completely stunned, as if he felt full of malice from all over the world. A mosquito had already hit him. However, if you come to a group. So annoying. Genos looked at the silly Saitama and said unsuspectingly, Hey, you. Ordinary people, take refuge while there is still time. He pointed to the mosquitoes in the sky and said solemnly, Those mosquitoes have a mind, and once they find you, they will immediately rush over. No, isn't it? Saitama panicked. Oops, run away. I can't deal with so many mosquitoes. Quack. Saitama and Janos hadn't made any action yet. The evil laugh of the mosquitoes was suddenly heard from the black storm, and then the black storm composed of mosquitoes turned into a torrent and rushed towards Saitama and Janos. Buzzing. In an instant, a swarm of mosquitoes flooded the two of them like turbulent waves. From the sky, the whole street was full of black torrents, densely packed with mosquitoes, and there was a little figure of Janos and Saitama. Rumble. It has to be said that the mosquito army has a strong impact capability. Under their impact, the surrounding buildings collapsed one after another, and the explosion sounded like a muffled thunder. Burning. The sound of the chaotic house collapsing was suddenly mixed with a cold voice. Rumble. The black torrent formed by the mosquitoes flashed a fiery red light, layer by layer, and finally the firelight covered all the black torrents. The black torrents evolved into red lava, and the flames erupted like a volcanic explosion, with a radius of several hundred meters, burned out by the fire. The breeze blew and the soot drifted away. The only left hand of Janos kept firing the incendiary cannon. He stared at the mosquito girl in the sky, and said in a calm tone, "I think you can speak human language, and I thought your intelligence is the same as human. However, I didn't expect that the bugs were just bugs after all, and so many mosquitoes gathered so that I could burn them." He lowered his arm and whispered, "When I found you, I made sure that there were no creatures within 500 meters, so that I can fight as much as I can, release my burning cannon without any scruples, and quickly destroy it. You, eh? Wait a minute." His heart trembled, and suddenly it sounded that someone ran out inexplicably just now, and his face changed a little with that eye-catching braised egghead. "Oops, it's careless, I accidentally killed a person. Oh, I'm saved." Just as he was very regretful, a word of rejoicing came faintly behind him. He turned his head to look at Saitama in shock. He actually survived from my large incendiary cannon? Impossible? Saitama smiled harmlessly and looked at Janos curiously. "You are really good. What was the trick just now? Is it a real mosquito coil flashing?" "Haha, kidding, don't mind." Janos stared at the naked Saitama incredulously, wondering how Saitama survived his incendiary cannon, or the size of his little brother Saitama. Saitama Chiguoguo faced Janos, without a trace of embarrassment in his heart, as if wearing clothes and not wearing clothes are the same for him. At this moment, he was thinking of Janos's incendiary cannon just now, and he muttered to himself, if he also had such a move, then there would be no trouble to run into mosquitoes in the future. I envied him for having the ultimate mosquito killer. Ha ha ha. Just as Janos and Saitama were being honest with each other, a sharp, weird smile of the mosquito girl suddenly sounded in the sky. Well? Janos and Saitama looked up at the mosquito girl at the same time. At this moment, the mosquito girl has changed a lot. Her broken leg has regrown and become stronger, and her skin may have drawn too much blood from the original black and white to ant red, and she has a pink and purple hair. Be more charming and charming. I'm stupid. Haha, I gave you my children to burn because I don't need them anymore. Stupid. The mosquito girl raised her sharp claws and slammed towards the tall building next to her. The tall building was immediately cut off at the waist, and collapsed like a neatly cut radish, shaking up a cloud of smoke and dust. After all, I am already so powerful. Ah. The mission of those children has been completed. It doesn't matter whether they live or die. Haha. Janos looked at the mosquitoes who had completed the evolution with a little astonishment. The strength gap between one and the other was so big. Before the evolution, he and her were evenly matched. Now, her strength is even stronger. Can I win? Sure enough, I still need to become stronger. The mosquito girl smiled triumphantly and confidently. Well, little brother, get ready to go to hell. The instant she spoke, the entire fiery red body disappeared from Janos's vision. So fast. Janos was shocked. The mechanical body had not been able to react in the future. The mosquito girl had appeared behind him as if teleporting. A cruel smile appeared at the corner of her mouth, and her sharp claws were raised and drawn down. There was a cracking sound. Janos' body was almost chopped into two pieces at once, and an electric arc flashed sneerly at the fracture of his waist. The opponent is stronger. His pupils shrank slightly. Fortunately, this fatal injury for humans was ineffective for him, a mechanically transformed man. Without even thinking about it, he directly raised his right fist and slammed his head back. However, his attack is nothing more than a child's play for the mosquitoes today. The mosquito girl mocked, waved her paws, and banged directly on Janos' chin. Call out. Janos shot into the sky uncontrollably. Ha ha. The mosquito girl laughed and rushed straight into the sky. Because the speed was too fast, she pulled a red air current in the air. In the blink of an eye, she reached Janos' side. There was no fatal injury. She teased each other like a cat catching a mouse, and kept laughing cruelly and cheerfully while playing. Hey, the eldest sister is very miserable. Why doesn't Saitama do it yet? When Genos was in a bitter battle, not far behind Saitama, King was sneaky. He appeared upright, watching the fierce battle, and immediately took out the camera from his backpack, activated it, and faced it. Naked Saitama adjusted the focus and started recording. Well, I didn't expect Saitama's body to be so ugly. It's hard to imagine the monstrous power hidden under this weak body. He admired Saitama's figure in the camera lens. Hey, it is shocking to find that Saitama is not only bald on the top, but also bald on the bottom. No. Maybe Saitama is a natural little white dragon, pink and tender. Such a weak fist. Even mosquitoes are immune to death. In the sky, the words of the mosquito girl's play and abuse continued to sound. Crack, click. Genos continued to tumble and fall in mosquito girl's hands like a toy. Click. The mosquito girl cut through Genos' body again. At this time, Genos' body was already in tatters, riddled with holes, and even lost the ability to move. It's really unbeatable. The mosquito girl looked at Genos, who had lost the ability to resist, curled her lips. Weak playthings, she was tired of playing, then. Kill him. Genos, who was falling, looked at the mosquito girl with sharp claws raised high, and his eyes flashed with comprehension. So, I understand, the more blood she absorbs, the faster the body's functions will evolve. Fool. This trick will chop off your head. The mosquito girl looked at Genos, who was falling fast, smiled cruelly, and swooped down with her sharp claws, chasing after Genos, who was unable to resist. I discovered the key to the battle at this time. I was too careless. Now, the battle has no chance of winning. Genos' eyes were slightly dim, and his body had already lost the ability to fight. This battle, he lost, and the price he paid was life. The only thing I can do right now is blew myself up. I would rather die together than just get caught. Only, I'm sorry, Dr. Kunos, Genos is leaving you. The power furnace in his body instantly burst into blue light, and countless energies vibrated fiercely. Oh haha. The cruel smiling face of Mosquito Girl enlarged in Janos' pupils, and the sharp claws swept down quickly with the slightest crack in the air. He couldn't avoid it. Everything is over. In the final analysis, I am too weak. Boom. At this moment, a slap from nowhere suddenly appeared in his vision, and then hit the mosquito woman's face. The cruel laughter of the powerful mosquito stopped abruptly, her delicate body rotating straight into the sky. It slammed into the tall building next to it, leaving a large pool of bloodline, and the remaining wreckage disappeared into the vast sky, leaving behind a faint ants red star. What? Genos' eyes widened, staring at the scene in horror. F*K, the hell? Saitama saw that he finally killed the mosquito and smiled satisfied. Mosquitoes, it's so annoying, now the world will be clean. Click. Genos fell to the ground, and he looked at ordinary man, Saitama, in shock. It is hard to imagine that the slap that slapped the mosquito girl just now was shot by Saitama. At this time, he thought of the king he had met before, with the same unsatisfactory appearance, the same plainness, as if he were ordinary people, but there was huge power hidden under his ordinary body. Please wait a minute. He saw Saitama about to leave and suddenly yelled anxiously. Oh? Saitama stopped in doubt and looked at the paralyzed Janos. Please tell me your name. Saitama said casually. Oh, my name is Saitama. Genos stared at Saitama closely, gritted his teeth and said, please accept me as a disciple. I am still too weak, so how weak can I take revenge? I want to become as strong as him. Saitama nodded absent-mindedly, turned around and prepared to leave. Suddenly, Fuji responded mentally. He turned sideways and looked at Genos again. Is this guy going to worship me as a teacher? Damn it. Routine me, normal stranger dialogue. Isn't it your turn to introduce yourself after I introduce myself? You skipped your self-introduction and jumped to the apprenticeship? There are deep routines in the city, and I want to go back to the no man's land to fight geeks. When Saitama was depressed, King was equally depressed. He looked at the mosquito girl who was shot flying, as if seeing a 3-star weird card flying away. For him, the card is scarce, that heartache. Stop talking, Saitama, friends. King also saw Saitama leave. He didn't go up to say hello. It was really inconvenient. The other party was naked, and he was carrying a camera. He was afraid that Saitama would give him a serious punch when he knew the truth, and directly knocked him out. He retracted the camera carefully, put on his backpack, and quickly left the ruined battlefield. A hidden research institute on the outskirts of Z City. Huh? The mosquito girl lost? Or was it beaten by someone else? Genos took advantage of his cheeks, tilted his head, and looked at the virtual screen in front of him. It was full of photos of S-class heroes and some in-depth biological science analysis. Forget it. She's just an experiment anyway, but unfortunately she didn't collect King's blood, and missed another precious sampling opportunity. I don't know when and how long will we be able to study King's genes. Waiting is really melancholy. On the 28th, I remember that we used the monitoring system of our collaborators to keep an eye on the mosquitoes, right? Send me the pictures of the mosquitoes fighting and dying. I want to take a closer look at the final situation of our experiment. This needs to be recorded. The one on the case. Okay, sir. Hidden in the shadows, there is a man who looks exactly like a young man, wearing an ancient white prison uniform, with the number 28 on his chest, nodding to express his understanding. Clang. After a while, the virtual screen beeps slightly, and a data transmission progress bar pops up on it. After the beep, the progress bar is full, and several clear photos about the mosquito girl fighting immediately jump out. The streets filled with lava. The scene where the mosquitoes splashed high-rise buildings with blood. The broken battlefield. Saitama reached out to hit the freeze-frame photos of the mosquitoes. Keno's looked at the last picture of Saitama, and asked in confusion, "Huh? Why is this guy? Why is naked? Anyway, wear underwear." The 28th replied calmly, "I don't know." Okay. Keno's looked at Saitama's naked body with interest, and said quietly, "It looks like a good sample. I hope he can use it for experiments, as if he didn't get the King gene. Make up for it, even if it is hard, I have to study his body." He lifted his glasses, his eyes were deep, and he smiled slightly. "Send an envoy to invite him back and entertain him to come to our House of Evolution to do experiments." Oh no, it should be said to be a guest, huh? Clear. Number 28 nodded and opened the data in his hand, which recorded the new human elites of the House of Evolution who have successfully experimented with various experiments, Ashura Unicorn, Beastmaster, Armored Gorilla and so on. He searched for it, selected a few elite fighters on the information, and handed them to Keno's. "Sir, how do you think of them?" Keno's looked at the elites on the list: Beastmaster, Armored Gorilla, Mantis Man, Earth Dragon, Frogman, Katsuyu. Number 28 explained. Katsuyu has the ability to track the bald head, and the Earth Dragon has the ability to drill through the earth, so it can attack and track its faults. The rationality of this lineup is introduced. After groaning slightly, Keno's nodded. "Well, let's find our bald head sample as soon as possible, and ask him to come back as a guest. I can't wait to get him operated on." Clang. At this moment, another photo popped up on the virtual screen. In the photo, King was carrying the camera and was shooting intently. Huh. Wait a minute. King? Keno saw King appear, and a burst of fire broke out in his wise eyes. How could he appear on the battlefield? Number 28 analyzed. The battle is so fierce, and the King's strength will naturally detect it, so it is not surprising that he will rush to the scene. Keno's pointed to the camera in King's hand and asked, "Then, what's the matter with this thing?" Record. Perhaps record the battle between the mechanically transformed man and the bald head. King, as an important member of the Hero Association, is an S-rank hero who rarely has a sense of justice. Maybe he discovered that these two men are craftable, so prepare to recommend it to the Heroes Association. The battle scene is the best letter of recommendation. Is that so? Then we need to speed up the time. If these two people are snatched by the Heroes Association, things will become troublesome and complicated. Understood. City A, the headquarters of the Heroes Association. What happened to the mosquito disaster in City Z? Sick frowned and waited for Maria's report. As the director of the combat department of the association, he was usually not in the war room. He was handed over to Deputy Minister Jace Collison, who manages hero information, and Maria, who manages weird information. Only ghosts appeared. Only when disasters of level and above come forward. The mosquito disaster in Z City is too strange and weird. So far, it has caused a lot of casualties. The death of a large number of domestic animals has caused huge property losses. According to his understanding, some small villages in the mountains around Z City, the village, because of the death of livestock, has reached the point of almost no livelihood. A large number of mosquitoes gather in the uninhabited area of City Z for unknown reasons. Maria stared at the data displayed on the computer and reported it to SIC according to the facts. Can you contact King? Mr. King is rushing to Z City no man's land. Well, I hope King can find the cause of the mosquitoes and take the opportunity to solve the mosquitoes. Waiting is a very difficult thing. Siki has been the head of the combat department for a long time. He has long been accustomed to waiting. Waiting for the reasons for the strangers, waiting for the heroes to eliminate the strangers, waiting for the citizens' complaints and so on. However, today he hasn't waited for the result he wanted, and another incoming call scared him almost to lose his phone. Yali, the only female super rich in City Z, has disappeared and is suspected of being abducted by a criminal offering a reward. Yali is not only the richest person in City Z, but also one of the important directors of the Heroes Association. Over the years, a large amount of operating funds has been invested in the Heroes Association, which has a decisive influence on the development of the Heroes Association. It can be said that without Yali, the Heroes Association's logistics will suffer from a blood supply situation, and funding will be strained all of a sudden, entering the era of budgetary poverty. Zeki's face sank and yelled at the phone. Hey, shouldn't the police take over this kind of missing persons case? What's the matter if you report to our association? Our association's duty is to eliminate weird people and resist disasters. Look for people or the power of the police. Do you think the heroes of our association are better than the police in solving crimes? Stupid. The heroes are a group that fought with weird people in an upright manner. Where would they know how to solve crimes? Well, it seems that there is really a hero who knows how to solve crimes. He is known as Tong Holmes. Well, who is Holmes? Oh, it's crooked. The question is, should an S-class hero intervene in the disappearance case? Alas, this is too much of an underutility. If you let the public know, I am afraid that the letter of complaint will be dropped into the suggestion box of the association like rain. It is a pity that his opinion is not important in this matter, and the board of directors of the association directly ordered him to send a powerful hero to rescue Yali. The good news is that he finally waited for the latest news about the mosquito disaster. King wiped out the mosquitoes, and suspected of using the Purgatory Warrior's explosive wave cannon. King's elimination of the mosquito plague was expected, but he didn't have any mood swings. What made him entangled is, which heroes should you let to save people? King was woken up by Sick's phone early in the morning. Hey, Sick, my new residence has been implemented. Well, okay, I will move in when I return to City M. Well, wait a minute, let me participate in the hero action team that rescued the super rich Yali in City Z? The corner of King's mouth twitched. The routines were all F***King routines. At the beginning, he happily told me that the house was settled, and asked for help as soon as his tone changed. No time, I want to eliminate the evil organization of the House of Evolution. He refused without hesitation. He still wants to take Saitama to play the House of Evolution. How can he play with you in the house? King, the House of Evolution will not run away. It can be destroyed at any time, but Director Yali is in danger at any time. Director Yali is very important to the operation of the association. Please be sure to participate in rescue operations and rescue Ya as soon as possible. Director Lee. Alas, cannibalistic and short-handed, Zeki begged him so much, he had no choice but to agree. In fact, he didn't know how to solve the case, and his strength was poor. He couldn't help at all. The only effect was to deter the enemy. Will you meet at the Z City Heroes Association branch at noon? I see. After he hung up the phone, he remembered that the purpose of his trip was to find Saitama, and by the way to solve the evolution of the house. It seems that he has no time to find Saitama for the time being, but it doesn't matter, even if he doesn't encourage it. Evolve the house will die to provoke Saitama, causing almost the entire army to be destroyed. By the way, according to the description of the anime, it took several days for Saitama and Janos to be attacked by the House of Evolution, because they destroyed the ceiling of the House of Saitama and made Saitama very angry, so the House of Evolution was destroyed. Maybe still catch up. It doesn't matter what revenge, the key is to draw the card. The one-horned Ashura, who is recognized as having the strength of a dragon-class monster, makes him coveted. We can't visit Saitama for the time being, so the gift should still be sent. He looked at the pile of gifts at the foot of the bed, found a postcard, grabbed a pen and wrote. Dear Saitama, thank you so much for saving me from the crisis. I should have come to thank you personally, but because there is something in the world, I can't get out. When I have a chance in the future, I will definitely treat you to hot pot. Yes, I have sent you a lot of gifts. I heard that your heroes are lonely, so you must give those adult magazines that you really need. Oh, and those few, Xie Li Ting, tissues, after you finish. Remember to wipe clean. Hygiene is very important for this kind of thing. Well, I heard that your heroes are the best people in the world. Well, it's not a big deal to be bald. Although I have beautiful hair, I never show off. You eat more and I give it. The cabbage and spinach you sent are helpful for hair growth. Keep the ginger. You can use it for shampooing and hair care after your hair grows. Finally, thank you again for your many life-saving graces. Signature. Handsome guy with hair. King looked at the content he wrote down with satisfaction, turned around and packed the gift. He went downstairs to find the gourmet rider with the gift, and asked him to help deliver the gift to Saitama's house. A lot of. The food rider was hesitant at first when he heard that it was no man's land, but under the temptation of money, he finally nodded and agreed. The no man's land was ruinous, and in fact, most of them were published in the Hero's Name Book, published by the Heroes Association. As a result of urban rumors, most people have never seen weird people in no man's land. Solved Saitama's gift mailing problem. King returned to the hotel to check out, put on his cap and sweater, stepped on a small backpack, and treasuredly took Saitama's high-definition infantry video to the Z-City branch of the Heroes Association to meet other hero group members. According to Ziki, the members of the hero group are mainly composed of S-rank heroes, including Tong Di, one of the think tanks of the association, the old and strong martial arts master Silver Fang Bongu, and the prison boss of pervert sexy prisoners, Skinheads. The second child Super Alloy Black Light, plus King. My god, the lineup is very luxurious. In terms of strength, it is enough to beat many evil organizations. I heard that the association originally wanted to call the police dogman, to find someone with the help of the dogman's sensitive dog nose. Unfortunately, the love of the police dogman in his life is only Q-City. Even if Yali is a big beauty, he dismisses it. No bitch. And Fleisch also has a part. After all, Fleisch is a man hundreds of times a second. He is extremely fast and helps save people. Unfortunately, Fleisch is not interested in this kind of heroic activity that wastes strength and directly refused. Ziki, let Ziki helpless. In addition to the S-rank heroes in the hero group, there are 36 A-level heroes with a sickle toad and a 43rd Shinso with a B rank. The sickle of the toad can restrain the enemy from a long distance and limit the opponent's activities. The unique trick of the Shinso is joint shooting. A bullet hitting the opponent at a critical moment can immediately disable the opponent's ability to act. Well, in general, the Heroes Association made a big effort to rescue Yali this time. The Z-City branch of the Heroes Association is located near the city center, surrounded by busy traffic, and it is very prosperous. When there are many cars and people, traffic jams will naturally occur. It took King to take a taxi for nearly 3 hours to squeeze into the association branch. After dismissing the taxi driver, he pulled his cap, bowed his head and walked into the branch, glanced at the hall roughly, and got a general understanding of the structure of the branch hall. In the center of the hall stands a pitch-black sculpture. The sculpture is in the form of a muscular man, showing the full body's bulging muscles in a weightlifting posture. The Silver Fangs and others have already arrived, and they are gathering at the sculpture to chat with the first 2s and 3s, mainly Bongu and Tong Di are chatting about life enthusiastically, and the sexy prisoner, the dead pervert, admires the muscular man sculpture with relish. The 2 heroes outside of the S-rank heroes, Susaki Toad and Shinso stood tremblingly, and there was no chance to interrupt. These are S-rank heroes, and the strength of any one person is enough to crush them. Yo, King Sang is here. The sexy prisoner, who has a keen sense of smell for men, looked at the entrance of the branch heartily, and saw the king walking in, his eyes brightened and his eyes hungry. Hey, King. Uncle King, Mr. King. Bongu and others greeted King one after another. Susaki Toad and Shinso stared at King with their hands wide open. This is the strongest man on the surface. Sure enough, Lord Kakuzu was the last to appear. Hello. King beckoned, glanced at everyone, and found that the Super Alloy Black Light had not come, and asked questioningly, by the way, is the Super Alloy Black Light yet? The scene suddenly fell silent. Bangu and others looked at the muscle-showing sculpture. Hey, here. What? King looked at the sculpture blindly. Is that Super Alloy Black Light? The whole body is dark and exudes a metal-like luster, and the bulging muscles are like the edges and corners of a stone. At first glance, it is really a perfect sculpture. Everyone is looking at my perfect body. Yes, everyone is looking at my strong muscles intently. The Super Alloy Black Light that showed muscles saw everyone putting their eyes on him, and he was enraged, brows excited, and he let out a low growl. Aha. Then he leaned his body slightly, holding his left hand with his right hand, and then violently forced his arms to bend his muscles. Inflate. Change a bodybuilding posture that shows biceps. Oh, it really is Xiao He. King saw that the sculpture moved, and finally believed that it was a Super Alloy Black Light, the little black that was strong in the outside world. Hello, Scythe Toad? Shinso Hand? After King said hello to the Silver Fangs and the others, he stretched out his hand to the Sickle Toad and Shinso next to him. His plain face looked very serious against the background of the 3 scars. Ah? Hello. Hello. Sucking Sickle Toad quickly held King's hand flattered. Shinso's hand even wiped his palms a few times while King was shaking hands with Sashimi Toad, and then carefully stretched out his hand and shook King gently. King looked at the nervous 2 people and let out a dumb laugh. Don't be nervous, I don't eat people. He looked at the dress and weapons of the Scythe Toad with interest. The Scythe Toad was dressed in a loose white exercise suit, with a frog headgear on his head, and he held a sickle in his hand, that is, a sickle used to cut rice. The chain forms a special weapon, the lock sickle. It is not easy to play with this weapon. It is no wonder that the lock sickle Toad belongs to the powerful hero in the evaluation of the association. Shinso is dressed as a Western cowboy, wearing a felt hat, riding boots, a scarf around the neck, 2 short guns around his waist, jeans on the lower body, and a jet black denim shirt on the upper body. Hey! The Scythe Toad and Shinso laughed dryly with their hands, their faces still inevitably tight, their eyes filled with excitement. So many S-rank heroes gathered together. This time must be a big action to fight against the super evil organization. Destroy the dragon-level weirdo. Just think about it, and they will be full of enthusiasm. Men should do big F***king things, help the old woman cross the road, help the neighbors find the cats and let Lousy get out. Are the people from Yida Group not here yet? That's right, the group company of the super rich Yali is called Yida Group. It is a real estate company. Compared with her, the assets of the head of Wanda are a few zeros. After all, one is Yida and the other is Wanda. Big gap. Let's talk about Yali's background. Yali is a super real estate agent who owns countless real estate in more than 20 cities around the world. Take City Z alone. It is rumored that more than half of the land in City Z belongs to her company, so people often call her with laughter. For Yaban Market, one can imagine how much her assets are. In addition, she herself is also a great philanthropist and established the Butterfly Fund. She not only actively sponsors the operation of the Heroes Association, but also implements money in the areas where weird disasters are encountered. Food rescue, countless living people, are the reborn parents of the victims, so it is also called the mother of butterflies.
Yama Butterfly. King sang, you have to be clear, people don't put hope on us. After all, compared with the police, our association is very amateur in tracking down murderers, that is, the fat-eared ugly guys on the association are eagerly looking for them. We go out, cut, they guys really have an itchy butt.
The sexy prisoner is very dissatisfied with the senior leaders of the Heroes Association. It is clearly a business of the police and has to be brought to the association. With this effort, it is better to find a few handsome bounty prisoners to play. It is a waste of his time. Scythe Toad and Shinso were confused. Policemen. Are the police still involved in the action to eliminate weird people? Well, maybe it's to fight against evil organizations. In this way, it makes sense for the police to participate. Oh, that's it, by the way. Why didn't Flesh come? King chatted with each other. Fresh? Superalloy Blacklight replied thoughtfully. I remember CIC said that Flesh seemed to be here as a big ant, so I can't come. Fries, a man would have an ant? It's really a blast of inside information. Don't listen to the Superalloy Blacklight talking nonsense. I was there at the time, and CIC said that Flesh has something to do for a period of time every month, just like a female ant. What did Flesh do? I don't know, it seems to be practicing. It fits his character. King and others didn't chat for a while. King felt bored, so he simply greeted Bongu and said, waiting is too boring. Why don't you play a little game to kill time? For example, boxing and so on. Mora? Bangu's face changed slightly, remembering his fear of being dominated by King in the sunset. Don't, Uncle King. Let's play Sudoku together. Sudoku is full of fun and can develop everyone's thinking. It is good for the body and mind, mainly for fun.
Before Bangu said anything, Tongdi quickly raised his lollipop to express his opinion.
Sudoku? Stop it, let's watch me show my muscles together. Super Total Black Light changed to another bodybuilding posture to show the perfect muscles behind him. Playing games? I think it's fun to have everyone playing together. The sexy prisoner looked at King with piercing eyes. King sang. I heard that you used to play a dice guessing game in the Silver Tusk Dojo. Are you interested in coming again? How many games? I'll stay with you to the end. Guess the dice? With the corner of King's mouth, is he losing a brutal dice guessing game of taking off his clothes? Hello, sexy prisoner. What is your idea? Quickly look away from your disgusting gaze. Bangu crouched slightly, carrying his hands on his back, and said with a smile, my old man prefers to play Go. Tongdi shook his head sharply. What is the fun of the slow game of Go? How can Sudoku be interesting? My muscles are the most interesting. Super Total Haiguang changed his posture again, bowing his body to highlight the 8-pack abdominal muscles. The sexy prisoner resolutely said, the game of guessing the dice in which you lose a game and take off your clothes is simply a gospel for my generation. Play Go. Play Sudoku. Show muscles. Guess the dice. Bongu and several people jumped on the bar at once, staring at each other with wide-eyed eyes. Everyone was arguing, but no one yelled, it's better to fight. Okay. Who slapped who? Don't bully me when I am young. My old bone just happens to be sensational. My god, the smell of gunpowder came up all at once. The superalloy black light stared at Bongu, Silver Fangs. I've long wanted to teach you the wonders of martial arts. Why don't you learn from each other while everyone is free? Bangu twisted his shoulder, and the joints made a rattling sound of fried soybeans. No problem, old man. I'm worried that I don't have an opponent to practice with. Tongdi bit the lollipop and looked at the sexy prisoner eagerly. Sexy prisoner uncle, I just broke through my manipulator recently. You help me test the performance, okay? Go. Go. Don't join in the fun for children with no hairs. The sexy prisoner waved his hand to drive away Tongdi. He stared at King with fiery eyes and said, I'm going to fight with King. Ah, it's a fight. You accidentally told the truth just now. Well, you told the truth. With the thunderbolt on King's head, he was actually spotted by a dead pervert. Do you want to call Saitama to kill him? Well, Saitama is too far away. I decided, if this pervert pounces, I will immediately use the full level card to smash him into dregs. Compared with King's full black line, Shushu Toad and Shinso's hands were shocked. Seeing this group of S-class heroes that I admired in the past was so unrefined, something called the image of a stalwart broke in my heart. They turned their heads and looked at King, who was concentrating next to him. They felt that they deserved to be the strongest man on the surface. This is the style of a strong man, without arrogance or impetuosity, without rush or delay. Tai Shan collapsed in front of him without changing his face. Laugh. With the sound of a slight brake sound, the nanny car sent by Yida Group to pick up King's hero group stopped in front of a luxurious villa. The luxury of the villa lies not only in the splendid building itself, but also in the vast land badminton courts, tennis courts, golf courses, race courses, racing tracks, water parks, playgrounds, etc. Where is this Villa Manor? It's just a small town. So rich? It's strange if the gangster doesn't kidnap you. King stared at the guide map of the villa named Yayuan in front of the villa in amazement, and couldn't help secretly giving a thumbs up to the gangster. This kind of inhumane guy should light the sky lantern. Welcome all heroes to Yayuan. The gate that was so heavy as an ancient city gate opened with a click, and an old man walked out of it. The old man had a suit and leather shoes with a neat haircut and white gloves on his hands. He was amiable and personable. Hello everyone, I am the butler of Yayuan, and my name is Amazon. Hello, my name is Silver Fang. As an elder, Bangu represented the hero group to come forward to meet him. Silver Fangs? Of course I know you. I hear your name but my ears are calloused. You are older than me, but you can still be active on the battlefield. I privately admire you. You're polite. Bangu smiled modestly and pointed to the members of the hero group and introduced, this is King. Well, the strongest man, he really has the majesty of an emperor, and he has been admired for a long time. This is super alloy black light. Oh, the strong body of this great hero is full of explosive power at a glance. This is a sexy prisoner. Speaking of it, I have to thank you for the people of the world. Since you suppressed the stinky prison, there has not been another escape from the stinky prison. The criminals who deserved the crime were punished. You have worked hard. This is Tongdi. Oh, a young genius, a child from another family, a role model for all children in the world. Following Bangu's introduction, Amazon will always say a few warm words, like old friends for many years, very friendly, and make people feel like a spring breeze and feel comfortable. Mr. Amazon, can I ask about the progress of the case? After getting to know each other, Bangu went straight to the subject and asked about the case of Yali's disappearance. Amazon's polite face showed a trace of worry. The police have not made any breakthroughs yet, and they are still following up. The result is hard to say. Bangu nodded, and asked, oh, I heard that Miss Yali was taken away by the A-level reward criminal romantic killer? Well, 20 hours after Miss Yali went missing, we chose to call the police. Based on the bouquet of roses and a wedding ring left in Miss Yali's bedroom, the police speculated that it might be the most popular in City Z in the past 2 years. Class-ranking bounty criminal the romantic killer took Miss Yali away. Amazon sighed slightly, his face even more worried. Since the romance killer appeared, he has not heard of anyone who has survived from him. King murmured to himself, romantic killer. When a killer is still romantic, it's really amazing every year, especially this year.
Speaking of this romantic killer, after Sichi told him about the case, he deliberately checked and found that the romantic killer was not only a weird flower, but also a pervert who specializes in hunting rich women.
No one has ever seen the appearance of a romantic killer. People only know that after committing a crime, the romantic killer will leave a bouquet of fascinating roses and precious wedding rings at the scene of the murder, as if he was killed in anger after failing to propose to the rich women. The rich women, hence the name romantic killer. Scythe Toad and Shinso are dumbfounded, investigating the case. What about destroying evil organizations? They are all helpless. Why are they looking for me for missing persons? We don't understand, this isn't a pastime for us. Tongdi licked a lollipop, his small eyes flashed with wise spirits. Hey, Uncle Amazon, as far as I know, the romantic killer will only leave roses and wedding rings at the scene of the killing. At present, Big Sister Yali is just missing, but a rose and a wedding ring were found in the room. This is not in line with the romantic killer's usual homicide habits. Therefore, there are two possibilities in this case. One is that the romantic killer has changed his modus operandi, and the other may be someone impersonating romance. The name of the killer commits the crime. King silently handed Tongdi a pair of glasses. Hey, Tong Conan, you forgot to wear your eyes. Tongdi stared at King with dull eyes. Who is Conan? I haven't heard of it. Oh, a guy nicknamed Shinigami. King explained casually. Tongdi nodded. Well, that must be a great guy. The person who can get the nickname Shinigami should be a strong person. King actually compares me with such a strong person. Does it mean that King recognizes my strength? Thinking about it this way, his mood was immediately cheerful, showing a harmless smile. Amazon nodded and agreed with Tongdi's thoughts. Well, Tongdi was right. The case of Miss Mrs. disappearance is indeed full of doubts. The police friends are also investigating various doubts and trying to identify the murderer as soon as possible. I have a few days of opinion about the romantic killer. Tongdi continued. Based on the previous crimes of the romantic killer, I analyzed that he has three characteristics. The first is that the romantic killer is a rich man, at least not. Lack of money. Well, every time we kidnapped a rich female and then carried out a torture, she never extorted money, and left a bouquet of roses and a valuable wedding ring on the scene of the murder. From this point of view, it is speculated that the romantic killer is indeed not bad for money. Second, the romantic killer has suffered a love injury, and may have been abandoned by a certain rich woman. It can be seen from the romantic killer who specifically targeted the rich women. He hated the rich women. He left roses and wedding rings and other marriage proposal items on the scene. It can be inferred that he was hurt by love, and the person who hurt him is definitely a rich woman. Third, he should have a more handsome appearance. Well, to be attracted by rich women, first of all, they should have certain appearance conditions. After listening to Tongdi's analysis, King coughed thoughtfully. Additionally, the romantic killer may not be more handsome, but it may also be that a certain aspect of the ability is particularly protruding. The sexy prisoner looked at King sensitively, with piercing eyes. King sang, I understand you. Outstanding ability. After all, Tongdi is a child, and he doesn't want to understand the problem of adults. However, he agrees with King's view. Well, Uncle King is right. The romantic killer may be an excellent person. He has created more cases and still hasn't been arrested. His IQ should not be low. If Tongdi children know the real meaning of King, I am afraid they will shout. Stop, this is not the school bus to the kindergarten. I want to get off. Bangu smiled and summed up. Well, if you analyze it this way, then the romantic murderer is simply a rich life. He was once the lover of a certain rich woman, and maybe a more handsome elite. Yes, in this way, the scope of investigation for romantic killers will be greatly shortened. Amazon looked at Tongdi and the others in a few words and almost locked the romantic murderers in a small area, and started to pay attention to this hero group. Perhaps they were more effective than the police. Everyone please come in. Amazon took the king onto the tourist bus and walked for more than 10 minutes to reach the villa. Needless to say, the villa's magnificence is not to mention. There are more than a dozen maids in maid costumes busy, and the same, in the living room. The big soft-like cotton sofa, there was a policeman sitting on it. My heroes, this is Police Officer Mei Lei, who is responsible for the liaison between Yayuan and the police station. In the case of Miss Mrs. disappearance, I hope you will work together to rescue the miss as soon as possible. Bangu smiled and said hello, you Police Officer Marai, my name is Bangu. Then he introduced King and others one by one. Humph. Mei Lei looked at the members of the hero team coldly, and let out a muffled snort from his nose as an agreement. It seemed that he was very hostile to the hero team. Well, I am afraid that almost all the police are hostile to the heroes of the Heroes Association. After all, the appearance of the heroes robbed them of their jobs and left them with almost nothing to do. The citizens even called on the government to rule the police department and made them angry. Burn, itchy hate the Heroes Association. Of course, some senior leaders of the Heroes Association also intend to replace the police department and develop the association. Therefore, many things are aimed at the police. For example, when the police encounter weird people, the heroes are always late to wait. Once you come and go, the squalor between the two organizations becomes bigger. Amazon looked at Mei Lei's unconcealed hostility towards the hero team, frowning and reprimanded, Officer Mei Lei, I hope you can correct your attitude. Your task is to rescue Our Lady as soon as possible, and the hero team is here to assist you. I know that there is a gap between you, but I hope you can put aside your prejudices on this matter and work together. Otherwise, I would not blame the Yida group for being polite. The 7th rank official in front of the Prime Minister's door, the gentle-looking old man of Amazon, frowned and had his own majesty, which made people silent. Mei Lei said hard, Mr. Amazon, how do you think this group of guys who only know how to fight will help you solve the case? Asking them to be bodyguards is a good choice, but asking them to be detectives. Tsk, it's a disaster. King looked at Merle depressed. Could it be that we fed you explosives? Amazon said lightly. At least they have given the scope of the romantic killer investigation, so as not to leave the world like you. The scope of the investigation for the romantic killer. Mei Lei's face changed slightly. Mr. Amazon, don't be fooled by them. Most of these so-called heroes are made up of rascals on the street, and they are very glib. I have my own judgment. Amazon took a cold look, and carefully told Mei Lei about Tong Di's analysis and King's supplement, and then said strongly, Officer Mei Lei, please inform the police department to investigate romance according to this scope. Killer. I need to see the results within 3 days, otherwise, a group of people might lose their jobs. Is this what they analyzed? After listening to Mei Lei, he looked at King and the others in disbelief. After a while, he nodded unwillingly. I see, Mr. Amazon, our police station will give it as soon as possible. You have a satisfactory result. Mr. Bangu, I'm sorry to keep you waiting for a long time. Please come here with me, and I will show you the ladies' room. King shrugged his shoulders. It's okay. Who let us grab someone's jobs? It's a good situation that he didn't yell at us and kill our parents. Oh, Mr. King can really laugh. Amazon accidentally took King and others to the master bedroom on the 2nd floor. Surprisingly, compared to the luxuriously decorated living room, the master bedroom is very simple, with a bed, a table, a cabinet, a TV and a computer, and the walls are equally simple, with only a few game character stickers posted. Nothing else. Amazon saw the surprise in the eyes of King and others, and explained with a smile. Mist isn't like luxury. This sentence is so weak to explain. Just like the Emperor Daoguang of the Qing dynasty, he was frugal and liked to wear patched clothes, but it took a few silver cars to apply a patch. Extravagant frugal, no problem. On the desk, there is a bunch of wilted roses and a shining diamond ring. Tong Di walked to a desk higher than him, jumped directly on it, squatted on the desk and looked at the roses carefully, and said with a serious face, Mr. Amazon, the police have checked the roses in the diamond ring. Have you found someone else's fingerprints? Amazon shook his head and said, the police have checked the lady's room inside and out. Except for the lady's fingerprints, no other people's fingerprints were found. Tongdi nodded. You said that Miss Yali never came back after driving away the day before yesterday. Even if the phone cannot be reached, no one knows where she went. Did you inform the police to check the street surveillance? How much should you detect Ya? The destination Miss Lee drove to, right? Well, I have seen those surveillances. Miss drove away from the city and lost her track on the edge of City Z. Due to the complicated traffic on the edge of City Z and the road leading to various cities, it is temporarily impossible to clarify the path of the young lady, and the police station is also along. Follow up on this thread and let us know as soon as there is news. Oh, then we only have 2 clues right now. One is the presumed romantic killer committing the crime, and the other is Miss Yali driving away and missing in the border area of Z City, so before there is no new discovery, we can only follow these 2 clues. Investigate the clues. Tong Di licked the lollipop and said helplessly, in other words, we have to wait for the news of the police investigation. Bongu calmly said, only in the hero group as Tong Di, you have experience in investigating the case, you are free to play, and the rest of us are responsible for the final rescue work. King thoughtfully asked, Mr. Amazon, can you take me to your playroom to rest? Yayuan's play building is so complete, there should be a playroom. Anyway, he is of no help to the investigation. It is better to play games. Amazon frowned and said, there is indeed a game room in the villa. That is where the lady often goes. Mr. King, how do you know that there is a game room in the villa? Tongdi's eyes lit up and he slapped his hand and said, yes, Uncle King observed very carefully. Miss Yali, as the head of a large group, has such a simple room in her room, but there are game characters on the walls. Painting. This shows that Miss Yali should love games very much, and with her financial resources, she will definitely satisfy her hobbies, so there must be a game room in the villa that satisfies her preferences. He looked at King. Uncle King, am I right? King looked at Tongdi silently. Your analysis makes sense, but it is completely different from what I thought. Moreover, what does this have to do with solving the case? Tong Conan, can you be more serious? Part 1. In the eyes of the otaku, the world of One Punch Man is both exciting and boring, almost except for the weirdo. It is the weirdo, except for the escape is the escape. King believed this deeply, so he actively expanded his otaku activities. In addition to playing games, he originally created a game script, The Book of the Sage. Now, he has expanded his otaku interest to writing. Of course, with his writing style, he can't control the physical publishing of literature, so he deliberately chooses online literature, that is, novels. He registered an author number on the Starting Point novel website under the reading group, named BB, and published a novel called One Punch Man, King Engine, which was based on the One Punch Man he had seen in his previous life. It is a blueprint, combined with King's memory of weird people, combining the roles and abilities of Saitama and King, creating a new protagonist Roy. Roy also means king. The process of publishing the book was smooth sailing. He signed a contract with 30,000 words. After more than 3 months of hard work, the code word was updated and finally reached 300,000 words. His editor, Ruo Yiju, informed him that he would be put on the shelves tomorrow. This news made him feel refreshed. In accordance with the usual practice, I wrote Reflections on Shelves. First of all, I would like to thank the reading group for giving me a stage to show, thank my editor-in-charge Ruo Yiju for his care and guidance, thank the readers for their strong support to me, thank the country, thank my parents, thank CCTV NBA. King eloquently wrote a few thousand words of testimonials. After browsing it by himself, he nodded with satisfaction, logged onto the Starting Point novel website and uploaded the shelf testimonials, and then regularly published 2 chapters of the novel. He fell asleep with anticipation. The early morning approached quickly. After the alarm sounded, King couldn't wait to lift the quilt, closed his eyes and walked to the computer. He turned on the computer proficiently. After waiting for the computer to start up, he finished going to the toilet, washing and eating breakfast. Work. Open the Starting Point novel website, board the author number, and go to the subscribe section. His eyes are staring, his brows are flying, he is fixed for 24 hours on the shelves 12,457, more than 10,000 are fixed, the new god-tier novel is born. Didi. Just at this moment, a new message popped up in the background of the author, and he clicked on it. Dear author, according to our investigation, your work is seriously involved in pornography. We will soon respond to the national policy to censor and process your work, One Punch Man. King almost spit out a mouthful of old blood, so you can just block my book, and even complain about my exquisite title, which is tolerable or unbearable. The Emperor was angry and vented for thousands of miles. What? King woke up abruptly in a rage, sat up straight on the bed, sweating profusely, opened the quilt and looked at it. It's time to change his underwear. It turned out to be a nightmare. He wiped the sweat from his forehead and hurriedly got out of bed to check the status of the shelves of his novel. The author opened the backstage, his eyes stared, and he was determined. Puff. The corner of his mouth twitched, and he went to bed silently and continued to sleep. Well, it's better to live in a dream. It's a pity that people have to face the reality after all. He woke up reluctantly after spending a long time in bed. No matter how hard the blow is, life must continue. He went to the bathroom to wash and eat breakfast, multi-line operation, all in one go. After all, he is the strongest man, he still has this strength. He thought hard to code out a chapter and published it again, because it was the first time on the shelves. He decided to explode 10 chapters, so he threw himself into the hard code word, and finished 3 chapters before noon. Well, go out to have lunch to comfort myself, and change the environment code by the way. After one morning passed, he was okay. He took his laptop out in a comfortable mood, and gnawed at the Geji fast food restaurant as always. He sat in the corner where he often came, quiet and comfortable, with a code word that could be assured. He has a bad habit of typing. He likes to type and read in a low voice while typing and reading one line at a time, which is easy to be regarded as neurotic. Boss, King has come out. After waiting for half a month, King went out to eat for the first time. This damn cultivator is already so strong and not satisfied. Why can't he go up to the sky side by side with the sun? After King came into Naageki, a man in a coat and felt hat followed him, sat down 7 or 8 positions away from King, and spoke to the mini walkie-talkie mounted on the collar. Shut up. Your nickname is a tracker, not a broadcaster. There was an angry roar from the walkie-talkie. If he hadn't worn the earphones, I'm afraid the whole Naageki would have heard the anger. Yes, boss. The man nicknamed the tracker replied in a low voice, before shutting up, silently observing King's every move. This mala tang is going to be so spicy to me. In a noodle restaurant next to Nigeji, a successful man in a suit and leather shoes is eating mala tang bitterly. It is the boss in the tracker's mouth. Opposite him is a pretty and charming lady, nicknamed the camera, who is responsible for observing and recording the situation of the target and for the boss. She glanced at the sparse crowd around her, and chuckled like a lover. If you don't like malatang, you can replace it with beef noodles. You don't need to be so angry and affect your mood at work. The boss ate mala tang and looked up from time to flirt with the camera. After a while, the camera suddenly touched his ears and listened for a while. Fang said affectionately, "Husband, the family called just now. The chicken I am helping you with is about to be killed." The boss's eyes shone slightly and he smiled badly. "Okay, I like you to eat chicken for me, but..." He said seriously. You need to prepare the condiments for the chicken soup. I will call home and tell them. Immediately he got up and took out his mobile phone and went out to make a call. Pay attention to the tracker, the handcuffs, fishing nets, electric shock rods and explosion-proof bucklers of the dead crew are coming in. You pay attention to King's situation and report immediately if you find something wrong. The tracker lowered his head and pretended to drink Coke, and took the opportunity to answer in a low voice on the walkie-talkie close to the collar. Tracker received. Then he raised his head and glanced at King's body intentionally or unintentionally. In the next half an hour, 4 sturdy men with big-toed glasses, caps, masks, or bubblegums walked in, sat down around King tacitly, and vaguely finished to King. Surrounded. The tracker watched that the dead group had been seated. King had nothing unusual and was still enjoying the last lunch. He immediately reported in a low voice, "Boss, the dead group is in place." Inside the noodle restaurant, the camera smiled slightly and said softly to the boss, "Husband, the chicken has already been cooked. When will we go home? I can tell them when to start the fire." The boss nodded, and answered the question. This chicken is relatively old and needs a long time to cook on a small fire, so that the family should not be anxious and be patient. Saitama's house in no man's land in Z City. The latest news reports that there have been frequent rains in recent days, and disasters such as mudslides and landslides are prone to occur. I hope that all major citizens will pay attention. Yesterday, the national government officially signed a document and issued it, requesting the local governments of each city to do a good job in protecting the strangers, and to effectively protect the personal safety and property safety of citizens. Due to the frequent occurrence of weird disasters in the floating hearts of the citizens, they feel confused and fearful about the future. There are more and more criminals who are slashing the front. A large number of stalkers, murderers and robbers have emerged. I hope that the citizens will pay attention. One's own safety. Saitama watched the news on the TV with his legs crossed, and drank the hot water from the cup in his hand. After a long time, he sighed quietly. By the way, how do I feel that there is always a line of sight staring at me? His strong sense of touch vaguely sensed that someone was monitoring and stalking him. However, so far, he has not found the shadow of the person stalking him. Click. Suddenly, a gleam of light seemed to flash across the corner of his eyes. Who? He violently drew open the curtains, and the sun was shining outside the window. He looked at the opposite building tensely. After a while, his face fell loose and smiled. Ah, by the way, Tenten is so angry today. Suitable for going out to fight geeks. At the same time, on the roof of the building opposite Saitama's house, Genos set up a small tent. The entrance and exit of the tent were slightly opened, and a high-resolution camera was aimed at the balcony of Saitama's house. When Saitama opened the curtains and stared at the opposite side with a solemn expression, Janos's face also tightened. After Saitama turned around, he breathed a sigh of relief, took out a notebook called Teacher's Diary, turned to the latest page, and wrote down. Teacher will watch the news broadcast within half an hour today. You should watch the news more to increase your experience and knowledge. After deciding to worship Saitama as his teacher, Genos did not come to visit it the first time, but chose to follow and watch, hoping to learn about Saitama's powerful secrets without Saitama's knowledge. Go to the nearby supermarket to see if there is a special sale leaflet for distribution. Saitama put on a hero costume and went out to the nearest supermarket. As soon as Saitama walked away, Janos quickly put away the tent, jumped off the building with a swipe, and carefully followed Saitama with his powerful electronic eyes to silently observe Saitama's every move. Oh, this supermarket has a supermarket sale. When Saitama passed by a supermarket, his eyes brightened, and he happily went forward to receive a supermarket sale leaflet, and bowed his head to ponder with joy. Affordable supermarket. Supermarket sale. Genos watched Saitama look excitedly at the supermarket sale leaflet. His electronic eyes adjusted the focus like a telescope and zoomed in to see the product name on the leaflet clearly. Hair restorer. Speaking of it, the teacher is indeed bald, and the hair is another face of a man. No wonder the teacher is so concerned about the hair restorer. Well, spinach? Does spinach help hair growth? It seems that in people's word of mouth, spinach does have a hair growth effect. It's all products that help you grow your hair. Isn't it a secret to become stronger? He was slightly disappointed. Stalker. At this moment, a scream suddenly sounded in the front, and immediately a young girl ran over in a panic, yelling as she ran, "Help me, everyone, I was caught madly by the stalker." Stalker. Saitama carefully collected the supermarket sale leaflets, and turned to look at the young girl who was running over in a panic. Don't run, Miss Aisha, I like you. A wretched man with a camera in his hand and a camera on his neck yelled to follow him. Hey, tracking is wrong. Saitama stopped the wretched man and preached to him solemnly. The wretched man said anxiously. You get out of the way. I follow Miss Aisha because I like her. The young girl screamed. Don't come here. I told you already. I don't like you. I already have someone I like. Don't pester me anymore, don't follow me anymore, you guys. Die pervert. The wretched man hurriedly said, Little Aisha. After his words, the whole person fell softly to the ground in an instant. Saitama took back the hand knife that was cut on the neck of the wretched man, and said slowly, People have already said that they don't like you, so don't follow them. Your pervert love is really unbearable. Take a good night's sleep and reflect on it. Sir, thank you. The young girl said gratefully. It's okay, I just went with it. Saitama waved his hand. Goodbye. Seeing that the matter was resolved, he strode away immediately. Janos followed closely. Well? Saitama seemed to be aware, and suddenly turned around, only to see that the young girl was calling the police, and some crowds joining in the fun, but there was no suspicious person. Janos clung to the wall, not daring to breathe too much. I think too much. Saitama buttoned his nose. The current stalker is really horrible. Stalking others because of twisted love will cause considerable trouble to others' lives, eh? Will it? Was it followed too? He paused, remembering the scorching gaze he felt. He turned his head again and looked at the familiar street, the surroundings still empty. Oh, I'm home. Before he knew it, he had already returned home. It's great today, I didn't run into a weird person. Laugh. As soon as his words fell, a motorcycle suddenly rushed out of the corner of his eyes. The rider was wearing a yellow uniform and a yellow helmet. The speed of the motorcycle was ultimate, and then suddenly stopped when he saw Saitama. Mr. Saitama, your package. I am Gourmet Rider 03185, please enjoy your lunch slowly. The food rider finished speaking in one breath, and even subconsciously followed the slogan of the old food delivery. He didn't correct it in time, and threw the package on Saitama, stepped on the accelerator, and disappeared on the corner of the street with a slam. Another sentence floated back. Mr. Saitama, the next customer ordered spicy tofu. I want to send it quickly. Pack? Saitama was holding the package, and went upstairs. After returning home, he unpacked the package. The gift box was full of cabbage, spinach and other gifts given to him by King. Gourmet Rider, wrap. Downstairs, Genos drew a picture on his notebook. Gourmet Rider throws a package at Saitama. Immediately saw Saitama go upstairs, and he also cleanly jumped onto the building opposite Saitama's house, quickly opened the tent, hid it inside, raised the high-resolution photography rack, adjusted the focus to the balcony and window of Saitama's house. Hey, there is a note in this book. Saitama picked up a magazine with a bikini girl on the cover, and a postcard was mixed in the magazine. He opened the magazine suspiciously to check the contents of the postcard. Bald? Handsome guy with hair? This bastard again. He gritted his teeth and flushed with anger. Damn bastard, don't let me find you, or I must tell you that although I am bald, I am stronger. After scolding, he felt a lot more comfortable, and he sighed, refreshed, and immediately threw the magazine into the corner indifferently. Genos stared at the high-resolution camera intently, staring at all Saitama's actions. Adult magazine? The teacher's face is red. The expression suddenly becomes relaxed, and his face is refreshed. He was silent for a while, seeming to be considering the words, and quickly wrote in his notebook. Relax appropriately, besides, the teacher. 7.2 seconds. After King solves his lunch, he opens his laptop, logs onto the Starting Point novel website, clicks into the webpage of his own work, and prepares to browse the reader comments before the codewords to see if the readers have any good suggestions for improvement. However, when he opened the comment area, he found that his comment area exploded. Fried tomatoes. The protagonist has become stronger when he is bald. What kind of shit principle is this? The author, let's eat shit. King. Fried potatoes. The protagonist is so strong and so poor. Isn't it funny? The author is going to eat shit. King. Fried winter orange. The protagonist is invincible and still so hanging. Playing games, and it's still AF * King love game. The author is going to eat shit. King. Fried milk chicken. The King's engine. At that level of heart rate, the heart exploded earlier, and the protagonist can still live. The author is going to eat shit. King. Fried tang eel. The protagonist has reached the pinnacle of mankind, and is he single? The protagonist is impotent, let's eat shit. King's face sank suddenly. Damn it and lousy were all just BS. How come so many people scolded? The tracker, which had been paying attention to King's situation, suddenly became nervous, and sweat slowly leaked from his back. Did King notice something? It's also right. With King's strength, he can definitely perceive the murderous aura in the air. Regarding this, he couldn't help but glanced at the tight-faced handcuffs and others, and complained secretly that the idiots of the dead group had no brains to die. As a killer, he hadn't suppressed the murderous aura he revealed, and the pig could feel that the atmosphere was wrong. King gritted his teeth at the neat comment beginning with the word, fried. All fools could see that he was targeted. There are always people who want to harm me. Who am I offending? Although as the strongest man, King carried a lot of black pot for Saitama and angered many evil organizations, people who wanted to kill him could line up to circle the world, but his author number did not reveal his true information, so it is said that the people who are targeting him are definitely not those evil organizations. So who is it? Oh, I see. I heard that there was a case of God tier suppressing a rising star at the starting point. Is it because God tier is specifically suppressing my rising star? Sure enough, even if I have only B, I can't hide my dazzling light. The wood is beautiful in the woods and the wind will destroy it. I am the towering tree that dreads the wind. King looked at the screen full of the names of fried potatoes, fried tomatoes, fried winter oranges, fried milk chicken, and fried tang eel, and snorted coldly. You five want to kill me? It's just that you look down on me too much. Is it? Just because you want to get rid of me? The worm shakes the tree and does not know what to do. The tracker was shocked, and hurriedly reported, Boss, there is a situation. King seems to have found us. With handcuffs, fishing nets, explosion-proof bucklers and electric shock batons, plus himself, there are exactly 5 people. The handcuffs and other members of the dead group also trembled, and there was a hint of fear on their tight faces. They were not dead soldiers trained since childhood, but temporarily inspired by huge amounts of money and regarded death as home, but it does not mean that they are not afraid of death, let alone it is meaningless. If King can't be killed, the organization will not be paid, and their settlement expenses will naturally be out of the question. Don't worry, King hasn't shot you yet. Our blasting team will be able to install the explosives soon and keep it steady. The boss comforted them. King was preparing to fight back and found that a large number of strangers flooded into the comment area, constantly attacking him, criticizing his novels, saying, I was poisoned and died in Shenong, 15-year-old bookworm, and identified this book as rubbish. Book makes him very angry. The only thing that makes people gratifying is that finally some book friends are willing to stand up and speak righteously. For example, the book friend named Bai Luo Coke just picks 100 and fights against the group of rules. I am very pleased. King looked at the strangers' names that were still pouring in, and coldly snorted. There is also the blasting group, but, do you think I can be defeated by a small blasting group? He quickly dropped his fingers on the keyboard and snapped on what he had just said. King just finished his latest comment and found that his only comrade in arms had already been scolded by Cola. He got angry from his heart, yelling at him, and typing, It's fine if you attack me alone. Why do you want to implicate the innocent? Are you still human? Boss, I want to give up the task. The tracker looked at King, who was furious, and suddenly felt his shoulders sink. The waiter patted him on the shoulder and asked with concern, Sir, your face is not very good, are you okay? No. It's okay, I didn't sleep well last night. The tracker waved his hand and wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. Request to abandon the task. Boss, even the blasting team is exposed, we can't kill King. King already knows all about our arrangement, we have lost the opportunity to kill King, boss, give up. If this continues, our 66 killer group will be as assassinated as the Want killer group and the Fafa killer group that assassinated King before. The tracker was stunned to find that 4 words of persuasion to the boss sounded in the public channel of the walkie-talkie. He looked at the handcuffs and others in surprise, and found that they were either nervously drinking water or holding a cookie on their mouth, trembling. He bit and waited. He immediately realized that it was not just me alone who was nervous and afraid. When the people of the 66 killer group were arguing, King took out a freak card, Samsung freak card, crazy program ape, since you don't repent, don't blame me for being impolite. He, with the help of the power of the weirdo card, the computer technology has been greatly improved, and the account computer of the blasting group is invaded wantonly, releasing difficult viruses, and cleaning each other one by one. Boss, King is about to take action, let's retreat. Boss, when you break it, it's too late to run now. In the public channel of the 66 killer group, the boss's decadent voice finally sounded, abandon the mission and leave the Green Hills to retreat without fear of firewood. At the same time, the blasting team that attacked King's novels finally panicked. Many members had viruses in their computers, and they knew they had encountered problems. Fried potatoes, brother, we know we were wrong, please forgive me. Fried tomatoes, brother, let's go right away, we won't do this task. Fried winter oranges, bow and apologize to the boss. Fried chicken, from now on we will be friends, we will fight wherever you point, please let it go. Fried tang eel, man, are you short of money? I spend money to buy pinyin. King saw that the blasting team had surrendered, and he was very proud and said, "Since you have given up the mission, let's go." "Hey, I don't blame you. After all, you are only collecting money and helping others to eliminate disasters. It is not easy for you." Chewing on the tracker that Gejini was about to run away, and the others stiffened, something called touching surged in his heart. This is the mind of the strongest man, knowing that we are here to assassinate his killer, but he is a little bit, it also cares about us. Compared with him, we are just a pile of shit. Oh no, how can the light of rice grains be compared with the light of Haoyue? King looked at his book review area full of apology comments from the blasting team. He waved his hand and said without thinking, "Hey, you don't need to be ashamed or apologize. If you get back to the right in the future, you can come to me often, maybe you can be friends." Wow. When the tracker heard the words, he didn't hold back, but he was moved and cried on the table. The handcuffs and others also bit their lips and tears filled their eyes. "Mr. King, why are you so kind? How can a sinful person like us be your friend? That is simply tarnishing the noble you." They wiped their tears, got up and looked at each other, nodded each other, walked toward King firmly, bowed deeply to King. "Mr. King, thank you very much for your kindness not to kill. You can rest assured, from now on in the future, we will definitely change the evil and return to righteousness, behave in an upright manner, and strive to raise our heads in front of you. Mr. King, we have the chance to see you in the future." They bowed deeply, and then turned away with tears. "Mr. King, goodbye, and we must be good people in the future." King looked awkwardly at the back of the tracker and others. After a while, he raised a middle finger and spoke with a Sichuan accent, "Something's wrong." Later, he reinvested in the chat in the comment area, and he accidentally discovered that Pen Luo Kok was originally not his book friend, but an author who was also serializing One Pirate, 6 Types of Kings. After King solved the blasting team, the person in charge of the blasting team called the employer with a sad face. "Hey, hello, you let our discreditors get involved. You are actually a hacker, and many of our members' computers are infected with viruses because of this." A surprised voice came from the other end of the phone. "Well, the author of One Punch Man, King Engine, is so powerful, he deserves to be the most up-and-coming star from the starting point." The person in charge of the blasting team looked dumbfounded. "Isn't it the One Punch Man King Engine that you were trying to discredit? Damn, it was a mistake." On the special day of 520, Lang Yuqing's concubine had already deliberately dated the girl in yellow with glasses. In the park of City C, surrounded by lovers of you and mine. The girl in the glasses and the yellow clothes gradually grew in affection under the rendering of the environment, and the brewing of time became stronger, and when the affection was strong, they couldn't help but embrace wet kisses. Ooh. After a while, the two of them split their lips, a strand of crystal silver silk gleaming in the sun, and the girl in the yellow dress had a red cheek. She confided and whispered, "You made my sister cry, you were responsible for it. Comfort it." "Huh. You still have a younger sister. Why don't I know?" The spectacles looked blank. Why did the subject suddenly change? "By the way, can we not talk about your sister when we fall in love?" "Huh, would." The shame of the yellow shirt had dyed his ears red, gave his glasses a shame, and ran away, covering his face. "Eh?" His glasses looked at the leaving yellow clothes confusedly, even more unclear. "What do you mean? Maybe only the teacher in yellow clothes King can help me." He scratched his head and looked for King dejectedly. "Shoo." In the Emperor's apartment, King whistles and tidies his slim suit, combing his blonde hair meticulously. Ding dong. The doorbell rang, and he opened them with cheerful steps. "Glasses. Why are you here at this time?" Glasses said depressed. "Senior King, I'm in trouble." He told King about the girl in yellow. King wanted to say something and stopped. Of course he knew that the girl in the yellow clothes meant something, but as a senior, how could he say such a nasty vocabulary in front of a junior? He thought for a while and coughed lightly. Cough, glasses, feelings. In the hero world, sexy prisoners have the highest experience, you can consult him. "Oh, thank you Senior King for your advice." "You're welcome, I wish you a happy holiday." "Well, Senior King, share the same joy with the same joy." Ha ha. King watched his glasses go away, immediately packed up and hurried out. Couple shopping mall. King was eagerly waiting, scanning every passerby. Call out. At this time, a ray of green light flashed in the sky, and the tornado fell from the sky with his hands on his chest. "Hey, it's rare, Kin, you guy asked me out to go shopping. Huh. Today's sun must be rising from the west. Actually, I have the idea of asking you out for a stroll. After all, we are both heroes of the association. I also hope that we can have time to promote our relationship." King smiled slightly and suddenly, he took a deep breath and showed an expression of enjoyment. After a while, he opened his eyes and asked, "Tornado, Did you drink milk tea just now? Tornado was puzzled. No, drink, I only drink long tall milk. King shook his fingers. You lied. If you didn't drink milk tea without you, why would you smell fragrant? Tornado leaned in and stared. I didn't lie. I never drink Shang Piao milk tea, I only drink Yolame. King's mouth twitched and forced a smile. Well, my nose is malfunctioning. Let's go to the mall, it's hard to tell. As a man, how come I need to choose a few clothes for women? What do you think? Tornado looked at King vigilantly. Nothing to do. Nothing to rape or steal. King sighed secretly. There are clothes in the library. Which dress do you like? King and Tornado looked at all kinds of beautiful clothes in the shop. Hee, this dress is not bad. Too long, this one is also beautiful. Tornado is a girl after all. When she enters the clothing store like a fish into the sea, she is very happy. He looks east and touches the west, looking longing and expecting in his small eyes. It's a pity that people are too short to have a suitable dress. Miss Tornado. After the waiter found King and Dragon Roll, he hurried forward and said in a low voice, we can provide customized services in our store. As long as Miss Dragon Roll looks at which style, we can tailor it for you. Real? Tornado was overjoyed. She immediately picked a piece of clothing and put it on her body. After a while, she changed another one. She picked more than a dozen pieces in a row. She was still not satisfied. She turned around and asked King. King, which dress do you think I wear? The red one. Hey, that piece is too old-fashioned, your vision is really bad. What does it matter? Anyway, whether it's old-fashioned or outdated, as long as you wear it, it's beautiful. No way, I am beautiful, but the clothes are ugly, totally unmatched. The king chuckled and sighed in his heart, you're incomprehensible, Tornado. Others pointed at King and Tornado together on this special day, whispering, with ambiguous eyes. King, congratulations. Oh, thanks. King smiled slightly at the tourists who sent his blessings. Tornado, you actually got together with King, you are so happy. The waiter chooses clothes for the Tornado, and sincerely blessed him. Tornado gestured to a piece of green clothing, waved his hand and said, hey, what happiness is there to walk with him? I can't wait to beat him. The waiter laughed and said, you two are really special, but, after all, you are heroes, and the way you get along may be a little special. King and Tornado wandered in the meaningful eyes of others all afternoon, and went to the amusement park to play in the evening. Seeing that it was almost 12 o'clock, King didn't know where to take out a rose and give it to the Tornado. Dragon Roll, a gift for you. Tornado's little eyebrows frowned. Rose flowers. Why did you give me flowers suddenly? Don't you know that today is a special day? King smiled slightly. Special day. Tornado thought hard. The first 2 days were March 27th, huh? Her eyes widened suddenly, and she stared at King fiercely. I remember. Today is Qingming Festival. No wonder you want to give me flowers, it turned out to be a curse of my early death. King looked dumbfounded. Tornado, how long have you not read the calendar? Huh? Am I wrong? Tornado pinched his chin and pondered. Ghost Festival? Double Ninth Festival? Ahem. Forget it. Let me tell you directly. King took a deep breath, staring affectionately at the Tornado, and said softly, Tornado, today. .520. Huh? Nonsense. When is 520 holiday? King, your head was squeezed by the door. Tornado's face was suppressed and contemptuous on IQ. Oops. King staggered and almost didn't fall. He explained, this is a new holiday with modern conventions. Hey, if I don't eat this set, the ghost will spend an inexplicable holiday with you. Tornado curled his lips. Boom. The alarm clock on the tall buildings in the city rang, and 520 passed away. King sighed up to the sky. Go to your mother's 520. How can you have fun playing games with Saitama at home? Hey, King, give you a rose back. Tornado handed the roses to King again. Oh. King took the roses listlessly, and the flowers were still gorgeous, but his master was very sad. Hey, King, do you know what day it is today? What? King looked at Tornado in confusion. Today is not a special day. Tornado turned his back to King and hummed, today, .521. When the words fell, she had soared into the sky and left. 521. King stared blankly in the direction where Tornado was leaving. After a while, he cursed, neurotic. Is there anything special about 521? Really, I should invite Saitama to play games together. How can I enjoy playing games in a relationship? People who have passed 520 are all crazy. 2 flowers bloom, 1 on each table. After some twists and turns in the glasses, he finally found the sexy prisoner who was holding his boyfriend during the festival. Hey, Brother Glasses, 520 is so anxious to find me. The sexy prisoner said meaningfully. Do you want to hey? The Glasses panted and said, oh, I just want to ask some emotional questions. He repeated his experience with the girl in yellow. Haha, little things. The sexy prisoner looked at his glasses with a squint, and said with a lewd smile, if you want to make my little brother cry once, I will tell you how to keep her little sister from crying. I have to go back and ask King again. How to make the little brother of a sexy prisoner cry. The F*K went back again. The Glasses looked up to the sky and sighed. Sure enough, there is no fun to exercise when picking up girls. Those who have passed 520 are all neurotic. In the days of Graceland, it was a little boring. Although the amusement building here is perfect, no one dares to play happily when the owner is missing, otherwise they will definitely be thrown out. After waiting day and night, Mei Lei finally brought the investigation of the romantic killer. According to the investigation by the police, 3 years ago, a rich woman's lover tortured and killed the rich woman and fled with a huge sum of money. He is still missing. Not arrested. Missing, which means that the clue is broken again. My heroes, let me introduce you to everyone. This is Miss Anons. On this day, Amazon also brought up a pretty lady with long hair like a waterfall. She is Miss Yali's secretary. Thanks to her dealings with the company during the days when Miss Yali disappeared, I'm afraid that news of Miss Yali's disappearance it has been spread a long time ago and caused an uproar. Inance picked up the hair scattered around her ear and nodded politely to everyone. Hello. Hello, Miss Anons. Bangu opened his eyes and took a look, and then continued to close his eyes and rest his mind. The sexy prisoner glanced uninterestedly and then withdrew his gaze and continued to stare at King's body. King looked on curiously, and then resumed thinking about memories and pasting on the suit. Leather shoes, a game character with a rose in his mouth. What is this character called? The wedding person. Bridegroom. Suitors. The super alloy black light. Without saying a word from beginning to end, facing the sun, posing in a pose, waiting for the audience's admiration. Toad and Shinso fiddled with their weapons boringly, ignoring each other. With a lollipop in his hand, Tongdi said vaguely, Mr. Teethware, Miss Iman, do you know the clues to Miss Stress's disappearance? Since Amazon has brought Inance up, it will naturally not aimlessly. Amazon shook her head. Ms. Anons doesn't know the reason for Miss Yali's disappearance, but she has been Miss Yali's secretary for more than 2 years. She is very familiar with Miss Yali and can even imitate Miss Yali's handwriting. We also concealed the employees of the group company with the help of her imitation of Miss Yali's handwriting and the company's seal to ensure that the news of Miss Yali's disappearance was not leaked, so I think based on her familiarity with Miss Yali, maybe you can find some clues in Miss Yali's room. Well, please feel free. Tongdi licked the lollipop and walked away. He had just observed the room carefully, and there was nothing suspicious. Nancy stared at the roses and wedding rings on the table. Lu frowned and said, Mr. Amazon, the chairman is not necessarily taken away by the romantic killer. Huh. Miss Anons. Why do you say that? Amazon asked eagerly. King suddenly said, the suitor. That's right, the character in this game is the suitor. Its moves are as romantic and gentle as its name, very beautiful and gorgeous. Finally remembered. He nodded in satisfaction, feeling that the air was a little quiet inexplicably. He turned his head to look at the others and found that everyone was staring at him, and the sexy prisoner even drooled. Tongdi's eyes lit up and he shouted, yes, I understand. Uncle King is right. Perhaps the rose and the wedding ring were not left by the romantic killer, but given by Miss Yali's suitor. It was accidentally left on the table, coupled with Miss Yali's disappearance, which led us to think about the romantic killer. However, in fact, perhaps, as we previously speculated, the person who hijacked Miss Yali was not the romantic killer, but someone else. The person. He looked at King and said with a smile, Uncle King, am I right to analyze? Speaking of which, Uncle King's reaction ability and reasoning ability are very strong, just relying on Miss Inance's words to infer it. Result. Bangu calmly looked at King. I already knew the pervert of King's reaction power. For some reason, the corners of the sexy prisoners' mouths slobbered more. The super alloy black light is still facing the sun, showing muscles. King looked dumbfounded. Don't ask me, I don't know what you are talking about. He turned his head and continued to browse the game character stickers on the wall. Inance was slightly excited and said, yes, this rose and wedding ring may be a gift from the suitor of the chairman. In the 2 years I have been the secretary of the chairman, I have handled more than a dozen roses and marriages for the chairman. Quit. Tongdi said solemnly with a small face. Well, this explains why the modus operandi is different from that of the romantic killer in the past, because it is not the romantic killer who is committing the crime at all, but, he said, all this is just ours. Guess, there is no evidence to prove our conjecture for the time being. so the next step is to investigate whether someone proposed to Miss Yali recently and presented roses and wedding rings. Amazon promptly said. Leave this kind of thing to the police, they are very suitable for this kind of work. After that, he turned to Anons and said, Miss Anons, thank you for the clues. If you're busy, you can go back to the company temporarily, and I'll let you know if I have news. No need, Mr. Amazon. Inans said embarrassedly. I imitated the handwriting of the chairman and signed myself a leave of absence. I may be disturbing you in Graceland in the past few days. I hope you don't mind. I want to do my best to get the chairman back. Amazon was taken aback for a moment. Well, I'll let someone clean up another room. Bangu, who had been hanging up for a long time, suddenly opened his eyes and asked, By the way, Mr. Amazon, do you have a competition venue here? The martial arts field. Sorry, there is no martial arts field in Yaoyuan. Amazon sighed slightly. However, there is a boxing ring. Miss Yali likes playing games and boxing the most. She said that she can vent her pressure as much as possible. Do you need it? Need. Bangu kicked a sculptural superalloy black light, and said leisurely, Superalloy black light, accompany me to loosen this old bone. Anyway, we can't help with the investigation. Huh. The superalloy black light was stunned for a few seconds, and then suddenly assumed a biceps position. Silver fangs, look at my explosive muscles, are you sure you want to fight me? Sure. Okay. I will show you my perfect body later. King has no interest in the contest between Bangu and the superalloy black light, and the sexy prisoners are even less interested. Tong Di is already in a reasoning process, and only the Toad and Shinso are excitedly following the audience as the audience. The efficiency of the police is still very good. It only took half a day to find out the origin of the roses. It turns out that the rose is really not something left by the romantic killer, but a gift from a suitor of Yali when he proposed to Yali the day before yesterday. Yali left it on the table, causing everyone's misunderstanding. As for the romantic killer information, it is not important for the time being. The main question now is, since it was not the romantic killer who hijacked Ari, then what was the reason for Ari's disappearance? Kidnapped by others or other reasons? Now, we only have one clue left, that is, Miss Yali drove to the border area of City Z. As for where she went, it is unknown for the time being, we can only start from this for now. Tong Di said solemnly. We need to look for new clues along the path that Miss Yali walked before she disappeared. Speaking of which recently, the line of sight peeping at me hasn't disappeared. Could it be that I was really caught by a stalker? Saitama walked on the road, always feeling that if there was a gaze falling on him, he only needs to turn his head, that gaze will disappear for a short time. Oh, I became a hero because of my interest 3 years ago. So far, I have defeated many evil people. It is not surprising that some people will resent me. It's okay to be hated, but this feeling of resentment and anger, if you want it to evolve into a kind of distorted love, like what is expressed on TV, how should I face it? Homosexuality is reasonable, and homosexuality is innocent. Homosexuality should not be discriminated against. Homosexuality also needs human rights. While Saitama was in a daze, a large group of marchers carrying various gay slogans came across the street. Comrade, take a look at our leaflet. Homosexuality is not as unbearable as you think, and even has an indescribable refreshing and unstoppable touch. A stubborn man in a prison uniform covered Saitama with a stubble face. Posted a gay flyer and proclaimed, homosexuality is the future. Saitama stared at the gay flyer in his hand, and sighed for a long time. How can I accept this? Twisted love. Genos always followed Saitama's steps closely, his electronic eyes fixed on the leaflet in Saitama's hand, thoughtfully, took out his notebook and quickly wrote, Don't treat the enemy differently. Comrade, follow us to promote it, and finally we have gifts to give away. Gift? Saitama's eyes lit up and shouted, homosexuality is innocent, homosexuality is reasonable. Slap. The pen in Genos's hand fell off, and he frowned, thinking carefully whether he would continue to apprentice, me, Genos, a virgin. However, thinking of the strength of his enemy, he gritted his teeth and picked up the water-based pen, tilted his head for a moment, and wrote, Teacher. Gay, I will need to learn about laundry, cooking and other housework in the future. Comrades, shout harder. When the parade is over, we will give a gay magazine as a small gift. Saitama looked dumbfounded, gay magazine. He turned his head and left, and he can't keep up with the supermarket sale. After a while, he hasn't even gone to the supermarket. Ah. There are weirdos. Wow, Scarlett Johansson, you will never escape from my palm. An arrogant laugh spread far across the street. Help. A blonde girl with a delicate appearance, a hot body and a fashionable dress staggered out of the cafe, followed by a real weird person behind her. The head of the weirdo is a video camera, the chest is a camera, the left and right are recording pens, and the right hand is a tracker, The whole body is composed of various paparazzi equipment. Is that Scarlett Johansson? That's right, the female star who plays the strongest human in the League of Legends and the wife of the Emperor. Unexpectedly, the female celebrity actually went to this small cafe for coffee. The citizens watched the scene of chicken flying and dog jumping in astonishment. After a while, that's not right, it's a weirdo, they finally reacted and started crying and running away. Everyone, run. Notify the Heroes Association. Cherish life and stay away from female stars. Crack. The weird man followed the blonde, the camera above his head was turned on, and the camera on his chest flashed continuously during continuous shooting, and pictures were taken out. You can't escape. I'm a stalker. Since becoming a member of the paparazzi, I have painstakingly studied all kinds of tracking skills. I became a weird person because of being too persistent. At least my tracking technology has greatly improved. The stalker chased the blonde girl, turning a blind eye to other people. Hey, you are not stalking, you are chasing. Suddenly an affirmative word came out of the screaming crowd. The stalking demon suddenly exploded, like a cat whose tail was stepped on, and said angrily, "Who? Which bastard dares to question this uncle's tracking technology? I want to kill you." "It's me." Saitama squeezed to and fro among the fleeing crowd, his bare head bobbing and shaking like a tumbler. Finally came out. After a while, Saitama came out of the crowd, let out a sigh of relief, and looked refreshed. "Are you a weirdo too? A bitter weirdo?" The stalker looked at the braised egg head squeezing out the crowd in confusion. Is this guy of the same kind? "No, I am a hero." Saitama clasped his chest and laughed. "I am a hero of interest." "Heroes. I know you. Scavengers who specialize in killing weirdos. Speaking of which, I'm still going to follow Scarlett Johansson, the most famous female star, and follow the strongest man." Before the stalker had finished speaking, a fist in his eyes suddenly enlarged and reached his head in an instant. "Hey, whose fist is this? So big." Boom. Headshot with a punch, extremely bloody. Saitama shook his gloves wet with some meat, and muttered, "I've said it a long time ago. The supermarket sales won't keep up. You still talk so much." Thank you. Thank you for saving me." Scarlett Johansson looked at Saitama slightly panting, her gorgeous pretty face full of gratitude. "You're welcome." Saitama shook his head and turned to catch the supermarket sale. Scarlett Johansson saw Saitama go without hesitation, her beautiful eyes lit up. She was bright, powerful, and handsome. Oh. She was inexplicably emotional, and under the rippling spring heart, she hurriedly shouted, "This hero. I wonder if I will be lucky enough to invite you to play flute with you tonight?" Saitama took a meal, then waved his hand. "No time. Now people are getting stingy, and for the kindness of life-saving, they are reluctant to invite me to a cabbage hot pot, but instead invite me to play flute? I won't. Let's talk about it. It's better to go home and listen to music. The operation is simple and nice." Slap. Yano's pen fell to the ground again. He took a deep breath and wrote down in his notebook, "Teacher. Gay +1. Hey, Tongdi, did you find it?" King looked weakly at the Tongdi, carefully observing the surroundings. According to his wishes, he should stay in Yayuan to play games. "Who knows?" Tongdi said. "Uncle King's observation ability, reaction ability and inference ability are very good, so I should help. So that he can't vomit. Why don't I know I'm so awesome?" "Uncle King. Where's the sexy prisoner? Why isn't it in the car?" "Oh, he seems to be attending a gay parade nearby." "What? The sexy prisoner man is just lazy." In the car, the chain toad was driving, Shinso was sitting in the co-pilot, King was sitting in the back seat. Tongdi frowned and thought about something. Bongu and Super Alloy Black Light stayed in the elegant garden to learn. Weirdo, run. Everyone, run, and notify the Heroes Association. Hero. Where's the hero? Some citizens rushed out of the street in a panic. Someone seems to be showing up. Emergency evacuation alert. Emergency evacuation alert. A strange man appeared on the East 2nd Ring Road in Z City. The disaster level is Tiger. Please stay away from the evacuation as soon as possible. Repeat it again. Emergency evacuation alert. Emergency evacuation alert. A strange man appeared on the East 2nd Ring Road in Z City. The disaster level is Tiger. Please stay away from the evacuation as soon as possible. The weird siren in the city center sounded slowly. King and the others drove to the place where the weird people were infested, and what caught the eye was a dead stalking mad corpse. Chain Toad said in surprise, "The weirdo has been wiped out?" Shinso stroked the pistol around his waist, wondering, who did it? Could it be that sexy prisoner's change? Key. Oh, that guy? Tongdi boldly guessed that the sexy prisoner just came to this direction to participate in the gay parade. Then it seems that he is the one who can eliminate the weird. Maybe. King looked at the headshot of the stalker, and muttered to himself. Why is the posture of his death so familiar? Headshot with a punch. Could it be that Saitama has been here? It's not surprising that Saitama is from City Z after all. It is normal to wander in City Z. What's more, Saitama also looks for special supermarkets everywhere, so it is reasonable for Saitama to appear in every corner of City Z. There are weird cards nearby that can be converted, please go and convert. The icy voice of the system sounded. What a familiar voice, it made him cry, and he wanted to sing a song. There is only a mother in the world. Ah, there is only a good system in the world, and the protagonist with a system is a treasure. Regardless of 3 or 721, touching cards is the only one for me. King stepped forward and bent over to touch the card. Ding. The card conversion is successful. Congratulations to the host for acquiring the 2-star weird card tracking madness. FCK, or a pervert stalker. King opened a new card in a strange place. Follow the madman. Background. I have been interested in the private lives of various celebrities since I was a child. I was once a member of the famous paparazzi, Zhu Yu. Skills. Positioning and tracking. As long as you lock the character, you can track the opponent accurately, so that the opponent is inevitable, and there is no hiding, and the whereabouts of the person are clearly revealed under his sight. Hey, this skill is quite useful. When King's eyes light up, it will be much easier to follow Saitama in the future. Uncle King, we are leaving now. Tongdi urged King to get in the car. Since the weird person has been eliminated, people from the association will naturally come to deal with the body of the weird person, so they don't need to worry. Oh. King got into the car quickly. Uncle King, I just inquired about it. Someone actually saw Miss Yali's Masaki passing by. Because Masaki was a super luxury car, everyone generally took a look. They said that from the open window inside, I did see a beautiful woman. Well, I think it should be Miss Yali. Tong Di touched his chin to analyze, and told King what he had heard from the citizens. By the way, Uncle King, can you analyze the whereabouts of Miss Yali from the words of the citizens? King curled his mouth. I am not a dog nose, where can I smell it? As the car moved on, Yali was missing on the edge of City Z. There were roads extending in all directions, leading to various cities, and it was difficult to tell which direction Yali was heading. Beep beep beep. Along the way, there were more police cars, and the police station arranged considerable police forces around this area, trying to find clues to Yali's whereabouts. Sergeant Mie. King and others saw an acquaintance, Mei Lei, who was in charge of the police station in Yayuan. Why are you here? Mei Lei is distributing inspection tasks to his subordinates. The first group searches along the roads of City B, the second group searches along the roads of City A, and the third group, northwest direction. Well, we don't need us for the time being, it's happening over there. After the landslide, the government has organized rescue teams to clear the way. He saw King and others getting off the car in a blink of an eye. Tong Di went up to Sell Cute, Uncle Mei Lei, we are here to help you. Help us. No need. Mei Lei's tone was still unfriendly, and he said coldly, HMPH, I know that most of your S-class heroes are people with super abilities, but tracking and searching are our police's specialties. Tongdi bit the lollipop and said, Uncle Mei Lei, tell me some clues, maybe we can find Miss Yali. Mei Lei coldly snorted, can you find Miss Yali? He sneered, we have tried to use satellites to locate Miss Yali's smartphone in Masaki, without exception, what can you do? Tong Di cracked the lollipop, his face was expressionless, Uncle, your words are too much. Mei Lei waved his hand and drove away Tong Di and the others like a fly, you need to find yourself, don't bother me. Humph. Tong Di let out a soft snort, his small body got into the car, his small face was unhappy and said, let's go. King wasn't angry. On the contrary, Merli's words inspired him and made his heart move. Well, I don't know if the tracking madness can locate Yali's position. He struggled, after all, he didn't overwhelm the motto, a hero by luck is also a hero. He sighed slightly, Saitama, I will lose the opportunity to spy on your privacy again, I hope you don't blame me. System, use 2-star monster card stalking madman. The card character is successfully possessed. Ding, consume a 2-star card and gain 1248 experience points. Ding, host has failed to comprehend the card character skills. Hey, I still haven't comprehended the skills to succeed. The probability of comprehension of the weird skills of the 2-star card is too low. King was slightly disappointed, shook his head, and focused on Yali. A radar-like picture appeared in his head. He is a green dot, why is it green, and on his head, damn, can't the blue ones work? Beep. After a while, several bells suddenly sounded in the radar chart, and a shining red dot appeared. Found it, northwest. 236 kilometers. King's eyes lit up. He took out his mobile phone and boarded the 1000 degrees map, carefully compared the brainwave radar map and the map, and slowly verified the two to match. Shankel Village. King stared at the small village on the map. Tongdi, I know where Miss Yali is. She should be in Shanao Village. Shankel Village? Tongdi was startled slightly, lowered his head and thought. After a while, his eyes brightened and he said excitedly, yes, Uncle King is right. Ms. Yali is very likely to be in Shankel Village. Satellite positioning cannot reach Ms. Yali's mobile phone. Masaki, it means that Miss Yali's mobile phone and Masaki's positioning device have been damaged. Generally, it is impossible for criminals to damage the car. Perhaps the reason for Miss Yali's disappearance is a landslide, which caused Masaki to destroy the mobile phone. It was accidentally damaged. After he finished the analysis, his little face gradually became solemn. So, Miss Yali may have already. I want to see people in life, and corpses in death. Let's go. Buzzing. King and the others raced all the way, and rushed to the road in more than 200 kilometers in just 10 minutes. Government rescuers are directing the excavator to clean the road in an orderly manner. Miss Yali is buried inside. Looking at the radar display in King's mind, it was clear that Yali was right in front of him. Too slow. Tongdi frowned and looked at the government rescue team under construction. If you continue at this speed, it will take at least 1 day to rescue Miss Yali. 4 days have passed since Miss Yali went missing. If you drag on, the hope of survival will be even greater. Vague, can't wait any longer. King shrugged. Don't let the government use excavators to clear the road. Are we going to blow up a road? Their efficiency is too low. Tongdi raised his head with a serious face. It's time to show real technology. His little hand pressed the button on the backpack. Click. Click. There was a mechanical rotating sound from the backpack, and the mechanical arms gradually stretched out on the backpack. After a while, Tongdi became like a spider supported by 4 mechanical arms in midair. Tongdi, what are you doing? King looked curiously at the mechanical arms on Tongdi's backpack. These arms shone with metallic light, their fingers were sharp as knives, and they were sharp weapons at the end. Start. With a move of Tongdi's mind, under the horrified gazes of King, Toad and Shinso, he plunged his head into the collapsed mud and rocks. The mechanical arm waved, and countless gravel and mud flew out of it, orderly placed on both sides. Chug. Click. The figure of Tongdi was looming in the dust, and the huge mud and rocks fell layer by layer like being cut by a knife. The government rescue team looked at Tongdi's masterpiece dumbfounded, marveling that this is the strength of an S-rank hero. Humanity. S-class. Excavator, Tongdi, are you a graduate of Lanshong? This is the first time King has seen Tongdi's mechanical arm fully exerted. He didn't expect it to be used for digging up soil, which is of little use. Found it. In a short while, Tongdi went deep into the mud and hugged Yali out. At this moment, Yali was in a critical condition. She was in shock, her breathing was weak, and her pulse almost stopped. Send to a doctor. King and others hurriedly bid farewell to the dumbfounded government personnel, dragged Yali to the association hospital in Z City again, and Yali was rushed to the emergency room. Where is Miss Yali? On the way, King has notified Amazon, telling him that Miss Yali has been found and sent to the doctor. Mr. Amazon, don't worry, Miss Yali has entered the emergency room, I believe she will be fine. With the arrival of Amazon, Bangu and Superalloy Black Light, the two have been fighting each other for the past 2 days, sleeping on their feet, like glue. As for the sexy prisoners, maybe they are all in the gay club now. Thank you. Thank you all for helping us rescue Miss Yali, thank you very much. Amazon cried with joy and thanked again and again. You should thank Uncle King. Without Uncle King, we wouldn't be able to find Miss Yali so quickly. Tongdi smiled and said, speaking of which, Uncle King's reasoning ability is super strong, even though Officer Mei Lei will not tell you. We searched for clues about Miss Yali, but Uncle King inferred the location of Miss Yali's disappearance based on the little information that Officer Mei Lei accidentally leaked, and rescued Miss Yali. Yes? Amazon's eyes narrowed slightly. Mie. Hee. Bangu glanced at Tongdi in surprise. He is small and big. If there is nothing else, then I will leave first. King stretched his waist. Now that the task has been completed, he is eager to find Saitama. I don't know if they have destroyed the House of Evolution. Revenge is secondary, and the goal is to touch the card. Now Poor, full body there are only 2 cards up and down, and they are reluctant to use them easily. Amazon solemnly said, if Mr. King has other things, then I won't bother you, but when our eldest lady wakes up, please Mr. King must come to Graceland to gather, and we have to thank you for your kindness. Hey, let's talk about it then. King waved his hand and said goodbye to Tongdi and others. Shinso stabbed the toad with a sickle next to him, and said in confusion, "Hey, what did you say we did this trip? I thought that there was a big incident in the joint S-level hero operation, but I didn't expect it to be looking for missing persons." He ran around and did nothing. The scythe toad took it for granted. "I have done a lot of things in the past 2 days, such as driving." Uncle Toad. Why are you so unambitious? We are heroes. It is our duty to eliminate evil. Driving is the driver's job. It doesn't matter, quiet time is also a kind of happiness. Headquarters of the Heroes Association of City A. Well, Tongdi, did you mean that the director of Yali has been retrieved? Huh, you have been working hard these days. Ziki breathed a sigh of relief. Director Yali finally did not have an accident, otherwise the association will inevitably experience some turbulence. Uncle Ziki, you have to thank Uncle King for this matter. From beginning to end, Uncle King independently inferred the location of Miss Yali's disappearance. Alas, to be honest, Uncle King's reasoning ability is better than mine. It was Uncle King who first found the clues and reasoned out the results. I always came close. Tong Di was talking, with a little grievance in his tone. Originally, in the battle with the weirdo, the S-rank heroes were all guys with explosive power. There was no opportunity for him to perform. It is rare to have an investigation action that can be played. His director did not expect to be robbed of the limelight by Uncle King again, and the baby felt distressed. King's reasoning ability is better than you? Ziki's pupils are miniaturized, and Tong Di is a genius boy with superior intelligence. He has the knowledge that a great scientist should have at a young age, and he has developed and designed robots himself, and has gained a lofty reputation in the detective circle of G-City. However, King can actually suppress Tong Di in reasoning. It is conceivable that King's intelligence may be equally extraordinary. Coulson. After he bowed his head and thought for a long time, he shouted for Collison, who was in charge of managing the hero information, to come over. Minister, please give me instructions. Ziki's face solemnly said. Adjust the intelligence on the King data to full value. Tongdi's intelligence is already full, so how can his intelligence be better than King Tongdi's reasoning ability that tests the intelligence quotient? Tongdi low? King's intelligence is adjusted to full value? Collison was astonished. In this way, 7 of the 8 standard abilities of King are full, and only the armed strength is slightly worse. In the Hero Association's record of heroes, the hero's information is listed as 8 standard abilities, namely physical strength, intelligence, sense of justice, endurance, explosiveness, popularity, record and armed strength. The armed power is the armed combat ability, such as the Atomic Warrior, the Child Emperor, the Metal Knight, etc. The King's battle is almost always a punch and headshot, and he has never seen an armed battle, so the King's armed strength is slightly worse. Ziki said slowly. Yes, I have got sufficient evidence that King's intelligence has reached the full value standard. King. Really a terrible man. Hey, after all, he is the strongest man. In addition, if you have time, tell King to come to the association. His hero ranking should be mentioned above. Location tracking is very useful, but unfortunately it will disappear after the time limit has passed. King walked on the street and liked the location tracking obtained from the stalker Mad. However, he regretted that he did not realize the success. When the time comes, the power to track the Mad will disappear. Well, by the way, I have a skill copy card. I wonder if I can use it on myself? With a flash of inspiration, he tentatively asked, can the system, skill copy card be used by myself? The system said coldly, ding, the target of the skill copy card is everyone. King's eyes lit up. He still has this understanding, and everyone naturally includes him. The system, use the skill copy card for me. I want to copy the positioning and tracking skills. Ding, the skill copy card was successfully used. Ding, congratulations to host for successfully comprehending location tracking. Hey, it worked. King was pleasantly surprised to hear the system prompt, and quickly pulled down the attribute board to check his skills. Positioning and tracking LV1. As long as the person is locked, the opponent can be tracked accurately, so that the opponent is unavoidable, and there is no way to hide. The whereabouts are clearly displayed under his line of sight. Pay attention, the current search range, area. Saitama, you can't escape my clutches. Wow Kaka, cough cough, smiled too treacherously, not in line with my strong personality, laughed again. Hee hee. King was so happy that he entertained himself and made fun of himself. He meditated on Saitama's name and appearance. Saitama, your grandson. Well, your grandson monkey, after all, can't escape my Tathagata claws. Didi. When his mind was neutral, a radar-like image appeared. He himself was a flashing green dot. However, Saitama's red dot was not found on the radar chart. Huh. Saitama is not in the sensing range. King frowned. According to the location tracking skill description, The search range of the first level location tracking is within the area. As for the size of this area in the area, it is unknown and uncertain. If you think this is a bug, then finally the right of interpretation belongs to the official. Well, just like this book, if you find any bugs and vulnerabilities, they are not bugs and vulnerabilities, but I didn't have time to explain them, which made you misunderstand them. Seeing that he couldn't search for Saitama, King called sick and asked what happened to the House of Evolution. The answer is that everything is normal in the House of Evolution, that is, Saitama has not set out to destroy the House of Evolution. My Ashura card is still there. He raised his head and glanced at the sky near dusk. The red clouds reflected the sky, and the sky was red. It's late. Let's visit Saitama tomorrow. When King was concerned about the evolution of the house, on the other side, the trembling tornado also fought endlessly. Since the emergence of weird people more than 10 years ago, with the passage of time, the frequency of weird people's appearance has become higher and higher. Big cities such as City Z and A have reached the horrible frequency that weird people must appear every day. With the continuous emergence of weirdos, the workload of the Heroes Association is constantly increasing, and the gap of heroes has been expanding. The association has organized hero tests for many times and recruited social elites. However, the increase in the number of heroes is still unable to keep up with the emergence of weirdos. Speed. The sirens in the center of City A suddenly sounded. Emergency evacuation alert. Emergency evacuation alert. Huge unknown creatures appeared in City A. Please stay away from evacuation as soon as possible. A certain street. Wow, it's a huge weirdo. Run. A weirdo is coming. Has the hero not come yet? The panicked passers-by kept running, daring not to stop at all, for fear of being trampled to death by the huge weird man who followed. The giant weird is a rock weird with a 4-story building. The whole body is made of rocks. Just now, the quiet and peaceful mountains suddenly split open. The weird walked out of the high Yamanaka, violently destroying the streets of the town. Shake, human beings. I am the ultimate life form buried in the ground billions of strange rocks. I have been sleeping in the underground magma for thousands of years, accumulating energy continuously, and finally become a life form with consciousness, and I am officially awakened today. During the millennia, you humble humans have been cruelly digging for ores, persecuting my mineral brothers, and you have processed them into various props to make my brothers disappear from the world. This kind of genocide hatred can only be paid for by blood. Human, go to die. The weak body of the lower mammals, I only need to gently wave my hand, you will be broken into pieces. I will smash you into mashed flesh, tear into pieces, crush into powder, you. Hey, you are so annoying. It's so noisy. A delicate voice suddenly appeared. Loli's short body was wearing a green high-forked cheongsam and high heels, wrapped in green ons, and his clothes fluttered. Who else could be besides the standing cabbage? The trembling tornado pointed at the billions of strange rocks impatiently, and the power surging. The green glow flickered, and for a while, the strong wind and gravity swept toward the billions of strange rocks like a tornado. The screams sounded unexpectedly. Rumble. Rocks collapsed and gravel splashed. In an instant of effort, the tall rock giants were scattered all over the place, and they were killed by the tornado in seconds. Happiness. It's worthy of being Lord Tornado, a beautiful eradication battle, and there are still no innocent casualties. It's amazing. Tornado's exclusive driver and liaison, and the man with glasses in a suit smiled and applauded. Tornado hugged his chest and raised his head. Tsunere said, "What? I heard that there are very powerful weirdos that can't be solved. I have to get out of the way before I come. But such a weak guy can be solved by other heroes." The man explained, "This weirdo is a ghost-level weirdo, and ordinary heroes are not capable of destroying them, but all other S-level heroes just have tasks. And there are very few people like Tornado that can almost zero casualties. So I can only ask the dragon. Master Wan." Tornado doesn't appreciate it, and still keeps complaining. Really? Clean up the weirdos every day, even the minimum holiday is gone. Should the other heroes of the association not review themselves? They are professional heroes anyway. Please come up with some results. The man with glasses smiled bitterly. Master Tornado's fighting method is unique, and his strength is very powerful. That's why the association wants to hand over the particularly vicious weird people to you. Well, if I have to need my strength, then there is no way. But, what do the strongest man king, the martial arts master Bongu, and the swordsman master Atomic Samurai do? Really, the so-called heroes, the associations. All are unreliable guys. As the tornado was talking, he left the ground with a swish, and disappeared into the sky with a swish, leaving behind the thoughtful man with glasses. Holiday? It is also possible. The next day. The weather today is nice and sunny, suitable for outings. King got up early in the morning and left for Saitama's house. The sun was lazily scattered on him in the sky, warm and comfortable, which made people involuntarily refreshed. Of course, it would be even more beautiful if Saitama was at home. He found the door according to his memory, banged on the door for 10 minutes, and no one responded or opened the door, which made him stand at the door with a gift for a long time, and the atmosphere was very embarrassing. Let's go look for it. 2 hours later, King gave up the stupid way of continuing to wait, put the gift at the door, and took the initiative to attack. Locate me the location of Saitama. He directly launched the newly acquired skill, location tracking, last night. He deliberately upgraded the location tracking skill to LV2 in view of the low level of location tracking and the too small detection range. Now the search range of location tracking has changed from the district to the city. As long as Saitama is still active in City Z, he can search and locate the opponent's location. DD. Sure enough, the brainwave radar in King's mind quickly rang like an alarm bell. He immediately looked over. The red dots belonging to Saitama appeared on the radar chart. The red dots were constantly moving. Fortunately, the speed was not fast. Chance to catch up. City Y. Tornado is wearing a lovely lowly pajamas, stepping on plush slippers, brushing his teeth with a children's toothbrush, checking the time. It is almost noon. Why don't today's commission come? It's so late. Isn't there no weird person appeared today? Hululu. She curled up on the sofa, sucking Chong Gao Gao's children's milk, and turned on the TV with Nianhua to control the remote control. Let's watch the Disaster Channel news. Chong Gao Gao brand milk, a good partner for children to grow up. When the TV turned on, a familiar ad slogan came across. What a broken ad, a deceitful guy. Tornado frowned while looking at the tall children's milk in his hand and muttered. Tingling bell. The communication phone finally rang. It seems that the task is coming. What? I still can't do without my power. She answered the phone and lazily said, Hey, what's the matter? Where do weird people need me to solve? Those heroes are really true, and I don't know how to be positive. At least they have to make certain hero activities. No, Lord Tornado, you don't need to go out today. Tornado was puzzled. What do you mean? Although there was a ghost-level disaster weird today, I have already dispatched the Shining Master fresh, and the weird has been wiped out. Master Tornado, you can enjoy your rare holiday. Tornado absent-mindedly said, Oh, that's it. Well, hello. I haven't said anything like wanting to rest, don't think about those strange meanings by yourself. She hung up the phone and lay idly on the sofa and stared at the ceiling. You don't have to do anything today, it's awesome. That's it, that's how it is. This is called that. How do you say that sentence? It's free. Hey, keep watching TV. She lay down for a while, sat up leisurely, and turned the TV channel to the Disaster Channel using the power of reading. The latest weird news, an unknown weird appeared in the Z City Park, the disaster level is Tiger. Hey, weird information has appeared. In the Z City Park, I am still idle anyway. Why don't you go take a look? Maybe it can help. She made up her mind and tried to activate. Loli's pajamas faded away in an instant, and the dark green split cheongsam hung on the hanger was put on. Click. The window opens automatically. A green light flashed all over her body, and instantly turned into a long rainbow and disappeared into the sky. Z City Park. The tornado fell quickly and saw a pool of weird remains on the ground. Dead? Has been wiped out by someone. Well, weird people also appeared in other places. Anyway, I am idle. Go there and have a look. It's still dead. Here too. Who did it? All 10 weirdos were killed. Tornado stood beside the corpse of a crab monster, annoyed in her heart. I don't have to fight. The world will be very peaceful. What is this? She stared sharply at the crab monster whose belly was blown with a punch. Everyone. The corpses are all marked by a strong punch. Why are these weird people so familiar with the way they die? A punch and headshot. An unremarkable and solemn face flashed in her mind. Is that Stinky King doing it? By the way, that guy is indeed performing a mission in City Z. She clenched her small fist, gritted her teeth, can't lose to that guy. The disaster siren in Z City Center sounded. Emergency evacuation notice. Emergency evacuation notice. Weird hot dogs appeared on the streets of Z City. Disaster level is Wolf. The next weird has information. It is in Z City again. That's my prey. No one should try to run away. With a swish, the tornado burst into the sky through gritted teeth. A street in Z City. The Wolf-class monster hot dog and 111 armed foremen of the C-class hero are facing each other. The hot dog is a large-sized hot dog with a single eyelid and big eyes with limbs, which looks like a muscle. The armed foreman is an uncle with a Mediterranean hairstyle, heavy reading glasses, wearing a suit and armor on his limbs and waist, with a certain combat effectiveness. I am a hot dog. I became a weird person because I love hot dog food too much. I want to pinch you and kill you. Let each of you be covered with tomato sauce and cause excessive salt intake and die. Ha 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 ha. The two pieces of bread that resemble female genital organs on the left and right of the hot dog were joined together, and a large ham in the middle was squirming, and the red ketchup dripped down. The scene was disgusting. Seeing you, I thought of my mother-in-law. I haven't tasted meat for a long time, but I can't let you succeed. The armed foreman looked at the hot dog a few more times, took out a box of stomach medicine from his waist and swallowed it, and immediately assumed an offensive posture. Hot dog freak, let me be your opponent. Just as the two were cherishing each other, a hand that fell from the sky, oh no, a tornado from the sky appeared out of nowhere, and instantly rolled the hot dog into the sky. Wow. In front of the powerful tornado, the ground broke instantly, the gravel was in the air, and the small body of the hot dog turned into mashed meat, and the sprayed tomato sauce was stained with the armed foreman. Huh. I won this time. Tornado laughed at the weird man who had been crushed by himself, and rose into the sky. Ha, it's much refreshing. The armed foreman looked at the direction in which the tornado disappeared, then looked down at himself covered in ketchup, and said in a daze, hey, the weirdo just said that there is too much ketchup, he will. Slap. Suddenly his body fell limply. Come on, the C-rank hero armed foreman was in a coma because of too much ketchup on his body, which caused too much salt to inhale. I don't know whether to say MMP or not, armed foreman, MMP. Huh. King? With a casual glance from the tornado rising into the sky, she suddenly saw King searching for Saitama on the street. She twitched her mouth, swooped down, and stopped in front of King. King only felt that the sky was dark, and immediately looked up in surprise. Huh, trembling tornado? Haha, King, I won you this time. Tornado triumphed with his left hand on his waist, and his right hand stretched out a slender little finger to point to King, and finally rushed in front of King to eliminate the weird person. King looked dumbfounded. The script is wrong. Why is it a tornado? What about Saitama? He followed the radar's instructions all the way. He didn't look at Saitama at all, but bumped into the tornado. Could it be that the person I had been thinking of just now was not Saitama, but the tornado? No, it's impossible. He shook his head quickly and cleared the dangerous thoughts from his head. Tornado watched King shook his head violently, and said angrily, hey, King, what do you mean by shaking your head? Do you deny the fact that I won? She was very annoyed. What? Why are you a rascal? I admit that before some of the weirdos let you get rid of the weirdos in advance, but you can't deny that I eliminated the weirs in the last round. I won. Huh. What? King looked at Tornado slightly confused. What were the weirdos before? I don't understand. I haven't encountered any weird people from start to finish. There are weird people in Z City again? King. Don't pretend to be confused. Seeing your disapproving look, I am very angry. Tornado stared at the bewildered King angrily. She gritted her teeth and said, do you remember our agreement? Agreement. The sea is dry and the stone is rotten. Forever. Grow old together. The mountains have no mausoleums, and the heaven and the earth are in harmony. No, there must be some misunderstanding. King was breathing fast, and the situation was a bit uncontrollable. Tornado said loudly, yes, promise, we once promised to be together. I am dizzy. A thunderbolt flashed across King's head. My God, Tornado and I had agreed to be together. Impossible. I can't remember it all. Could it be the romantic debt left by the predecessor king? After I became possessed, it caused some memory loss, so I don't remember the agreement with Tornado. No wonder. Every time Tornado saw me, she couldn't wait to kill me. She must think that I like the new and dislike the old. Scumbag. Damn it. Tornado Xingli stared slightly, and continued to speak loudly. King, we agreed to try out superpowers together, did you bastard forget? Surely King didn't take my original challenge to heart. I was so angry that he wanted to twist him into twists. Huh. Wait a minute. Try superpowers. King is a jealous, staring at the tornado with a slightly sluggish look. Old girl, can you finish talking next time? Scary people are scary to death. Sudden. Because the plot was two ups and downs, his heart was falling up and down, beating extremely fast under the huge stimulation, making a muffled noise like an engine. Tornado raised her small eyebrows and folded her breasts and said, oh, the Emperor engine? King, are you going to test superpowers with me in the park? Huh, I'm not afraid of you. Her white tender hands raised slightly. The surrounding air immediately froze, and the turbulent power gradually awakened from the dormant. Oh, misunderstanding. King saw the tornado mistakenly thinking that he was going to fight, and he was shocked. Thoriding Tornado, wait a minute. This damn heart should have been changed long ago. Tornado frowned slightly, and said in a bad tone, what's the matter? I regret it. In an emergency, King subconsciously turned his attention to Dafa. He pointed around at random and said loudly, "Look, there are weird people. Well, in previous lives, they were called UFO. Who knows?" Tornado doesn't believe it at all, and coldly snorted, "King, I've seen it a long time ago. There are no weird people around. Don't you want to divert my attention and run away?" "What? Ah. My face, my face." Tornado's words were not finished yet, and the screams suddenly sounded one after another. "Well?" Her suffocated face flushed. King was stunned, but he didn't expect a weird person to appear. However, his dazed expression seemed to Tornado as if he was saying to her, "Look, I said there is a weird person. Don't you believe it? Is it a slap? Does it hurt? Come here, I will blow to you." "King. Let you go this time. We will temporarily change the content of the test. The one who eliminates the weird person first wins." Tornado bitterly left a word. A green light flashed on his body, and his whole body rushed up into the sky, and disappeared without a trace after a round. "There is something wrong. I don't bother to play with you, it's important to find Saitama." King shook his head slightly, ignoring Tornado's cruel words, and after meditating on Saitama, he followed the red light on the radar chart. Hope. Don't make any more mistakes. Green lawn by the river in Z City. Another peaceful day. Saitama lay leisurely in the lawn, looking at the blue sky. Today is really a good day for a nap, but speaking of it, it was because I was bored at home because I had nothing to do, and I went out for a walk specially, but it was really easy to run into weird people. Along the way, I have eliminated more than a dozen weirdos. However, when he was about to enjoy a nap leisurely, his body was hot, and the scorching gaze that had existed for several days came again. His face was depressed. Of course, it would be better if there was no pervert stalker. He turned his head abruptly, and the gaze that fell on him disappeared quickly. However, he did not find any suspicious characters. Genos hid in the bushes, took out a water-based pen and wrote, "After the fierce battle, take a proper rest, recharge your energy, and meet the next battle in a better state. Oh, let's have lunch. By the way, I haven't eaten Kenji fries for a long time." He put aside his depressed mood, his mood became clear again, and he happily walked to the Kenji fast food restaurant in Z City. "Hey, Frogman, that bald head is the one the doctor asked to be arrested, right?" Not only is Janos following Saitama, there are two other weirdos who appear to be wearing cartoon dolls behind Janos. One is a chubby Katsuyu with two antennae and eyes, and the other is wearing a scorpion and waist. There is a short sword in between, a temple is engraved on the right arm, and there is a frog with a scared scar on his face, and it is Katsuyu who is talking at this time. "Well, it is indeed the person the doctor wants to catch." The frog said, "Katsuyu, use your telepathy to record the life wavelength of that bald head, so that you can quickly find him next time." "I see, it has been recorded. Then I will retreat. It is said that the opponent's strength is quite strong. The research institute has specially arranged combatants, so we won't join in the fun." "Oh, I understand now." The figures of the two came and went quietly without taking away a piece of grass. "Huh? Something seems to be following me and the teacher?" Janos seemed to have noticed the direction in which the frogman and Katsuyu were leaving, and squeezed the manipulator's palm firmly. "Huh. If I dare to hit the teacher's attention, I will definitely let him go without Kabuto. Teacher. It belongs to me." As of today, it has been the fourth day to secretly explore the teacher. However, as time goes by, I still have no clue about the powerful secret of the teacher. I only get some dispensable physical and mental benefits by relying on a certain behavior of the teacher. Genos stared at Saitama, who was walking slowly in front of him. Is the teacher always on guard in order not to reveal the powerful secret? That's right, the teacher is so powerful, still living the cock. Oh no, I still choose Chingshu, living the life of an ordinary person. Every move is full of unique temperament that is close to the people. He looked down at the first teacher notebook that was about to be filled, and frowned slightly. I also want to get some inspiration to become stronger soon. He was meditating, and Saitama in front of him suddenly turned his head back suddenly, shocked him, and hid behind the green trees on the roadside, his face solemn. The teacher is really on guard, I must speed up. Huh. Still no one. Saitama retracted his gaze, continued to move forward, and arrived at Kenji in a while. Well, Kenji? Not far behind Saitama. Janos stared at the sign of the fast food restaurant, his electronic eyes turned, locked like a telescope, and clearly saw the name on the sign. He was slightly wrong. If I remember correctly, this is the teacher 4 days. It's the first time to go out to eat in Nina. Oh, that's it. Maybe the secret to the teacher's strength lies in the food. He took out his notebook and jotted it down quickly. Inside the Kenji store, the beautiful young lady waiter handed Saitama the menu. After Saitama opened the menu, The waiter showed a sweet smile and pointed to the steak that occupies the largest promotion position in the menu and said, "Sir, this is the steak specially launched by our KFC fast restaurant recently. It tastes very delicious, and many people like it. I recommend you to try it." Saitama looked at the steaks on the menu that were priced at more than 300 grams and more than 200 grams more than 190 grams, and 100 grams more than 120 steaks. After thinking about it, Saitama took out his wallet and opened it. 10 yuan, 20 yuan, 30 yuan, 40 yuan, 55 yuan and 2 dimes. He twitched at the corner of his mouth. That. Anyway, give me the cheapest one. The waitress smiled sweetly. "Sir, do you want to order 150 grams of steak? Among the steaks, 150 grams is the cheapest." Saitama saw that 150 grams of steak would cost more than 120 yuan, and then thinking that he only had more than 50 yuan, he pointed to the cheapest French fries on the menu, which only cost more than 20 yuan, and whispered, "Here I have fries." "Okay, a piece of French fries." The waiter still smiled sweetly. "Sir, do you want anything else?" Saitama shook his head. "Oh, that's all. He won't have enough money anymore." The waiter looked at Saitama fixedly for a while, and then took the menu to the back kitchen to place an order. Saitama let out a sigh of relief, and took back the dilapidated wallet, and sighed. "If you don't work, you can only drink enough water. It's really annoying." "Please enjoy." Saitama's fries came quickly, a small plate of fries with a small bowl of ketchup and cream. Saitama stared at almost a handful of fries, and couldn't believe it. "Really? It's too little, right? I haven't eaten it for a year, and the number of fries has dropped drastically. Did the weirdo eat it? I dare to charge me more than 20 for this amount of fries. And. He stared at the only one of the fries that was slightly longer. Unacceptable. I like the soft. There is only one French fries with the right length and the right length. The others are either too short or too hard. Really, what a bad luck today. Freaks appear frequently, leading to chaos in the world, and food prices are rising rapidly." On another table behind Saitama, Janos drank milk tea and watched Saitama's behavior silently. The electronic eyes were staring at the French fries on Saitama's table. "Fries. Must get the French fries. As a sample, give it to Dr. Kunos for analysis." "Wow." Saitama got up suddenly. Janos's heart tightened, and quickly took advantage of the opportunity to drink milk tea to cover himself with a cup. Saitama went to the toilet slowly. Chance. Janos took advantage of Saitama to go to the toilet, moved his body, rushed to Saitama's table, reached out and grabbed the longest piece of French fries, and quickly disappeared into the KFC fast food restaurant. Click. Click. What Janos didn't know was that a man wearing a cap and a white sweater was sitting on another table. The man held a camera hidden by a backpack and secretly filmed the scene of Janos stealing French fries. "Haha. Janos, I didn't expect it. The praying mantis catches the cicada in the oriole. It's not right. I'm too despicable to say that. Change a literary way of speaking. Janos, you stand on the bridge and watch the scenery. People who watch the scenery are looking at you upstairs." King regained the camera with joy. Just now he followed Saitama according to the instructions on the radar, but accidentally saw Janos following Saitama. His heart moved and he decided to stay silent and watch, so he took a sneak shot of Janos stealing French fries. One scene. Saitama came out of the toilet, sat back in his position, rolled up his sleeves, and was ready to taste his lunch. Who knows, when he looked at the French fries on the small plate, he was horrified to find his favorite long potato the bar disappeared, lost. Long French fries. Missing. Looking confused and annoyed, he turned around and asked the waiter who happened to pass by, "Waiter, I said that." "Hello sir. What's the matter?" Saitama pointed to the fries on the small plate and said, "I have one less fries on this plate." The waiter didn't understand. Saitama explained, "I mean, my fries. The longest one. Well, I remember I had a slightly longer fries, but it disappeared after I went to the toilet." "Hey." He looked at the confused waiter and asked, "Hey, didn't you steal it?" The waitress looked at Saitama inexplicably, secretly saying that this is not crazy, right? Saitama realized that he had said something wrong and quickly explained, "Oh, I mean, did you see anyone stealing my fries?" The waitress looked at the aggressive Saitama in fear, and whispered, "Do you need me to call the store manager over?" That. No more." Saitama sighed slightly, "I'm fine, I'm sorry to trouble you." "Well, I think it's better not to go there for now." King originally saw Saitama come back and planned to greet him, but he saw that Saitama was angry for a piece of fries. He immediately dispelled the idea of meeting at this time. At this time, he appeared in front of Saitama, and he was sure to become the biggest person stealing fries. the suspect should give a serious punch. Stealing the black pot of French fries, he doesn't carry it. And the real fries thief. Genos is holding the long and soft fries stolen from the Saitama's small plate with sanitary gloves. The restaurant only ordered a cheap French fries. It is hard to imagine that ordinary people would do this. In that case, maybe the fries are the key to the teacher's strength. Most likely it is a specially prepared recipe. He looked up and down the French fries, frowning slightly. The appearance is plain. Is the secret lies in the seasoning or ingredients? But whatever looks like, they are ordinary French fries. He pondered for a while, wondering to himself, isn't the teacher's powerful secret lies in the diet? He was puzzled and shook his head. I don't care about it for the time being. It's better to transmit the data of the fries to Dr. Kuno's for analysis. He took out his cell phone and called Dr. Kuno's drone. After a while, he handed over the fries to the drone's Kuno's laboratory, while he continued to follow Saitama.